LoveLore Library. Chapter 341. However, Jing Yunzhao, Tong Yan, and the others didn't know that Ji Shanshan was thinking so much. They were a little surprised to hear her help. Shanshan, you're wrong. As the saying goes, a drop of water should be repaid with a gushing spring, and a person's kindness will be remembered for 1,000 years. Cousin has done so much for her. Even if Jing Yunzhao is useless, she should still be grateful. Cui Jun said again. Ji Shanshan heard that and suddenly remembered the trick Jing Yunzhao used to deal with her. Her eyes lit up. Cousin, you've been in the Cui family for so many years. I don't think your life is very good. I'll send you some clothes later. Oh right, if you need money, I'll ask my dad to give you 10,000. How about that? Cousin Cui smiled. Shanshan, the Cui family has been very good to me. I don't need it. If you have the heart, you can give it to Jing Yunzhao, I don't care. Anyway, if I think you need it, you need it. After I give it to you, you must be grateful to me all the time. A person's kindness will be remembered for 1,000 years, right, Cui Jun? Ji Shanshan forced a smile and was very proud of herself. It was enough that she was good to Cui Jun. As for cousin Cui, she hated her. Jing Yunzhao's lips curled. Tong Yan couldn't help but feel happy. Cui Jun looked at his cousin in panic. He blamed Ji Shanshan even more in his heart. However, the Ji family and the Cui family had always been on good terms. Sometimes, their family would need the Ji family's help. Therefore, although he disliked Ji Shanshan, he couldn't completely cut ties with her. Therefore, he felt even more aggrieved. However, Ji Shanshan cared about Cui Jun. Seeing his expression getting worse, she restrained herself. Anyway, she had already won. After Ji Shanshan's antics, cousin Cui's expression was already a bit unsightly. She looked at Jing Yunzhao and said gently, "You can't be thinking that I gave you something just to make you remember my kindness, right?" Jing Yunzhao looked at her deeply. "If there's no kindness, why would I remember it? I don't care. It's just that the money I donated to you was gathered by my classmates. I hope you can study hard in the future and repay them." Cousin Cui said again. What he said was self-contradictory. One moment, he had asked her not to remember his kindness, and the next, he wanted her to repay him. Although she didn't accept the donation, she didn't dislike it. After all, those people were kind. It was just that Jing Yunzhao couldn't stand the moral blackmail after the donation. Moreover, if she had expressed her intentions directly, she would have admired her a little. But now, she was beating around the bush to get her to repay her kindness, yet she still had to show a noble and virtuous attitude, which made her feel disgusted. Cousin Cui, the school has announced to the public many times that I don't need any donations, right? Jing Yunzhao said solemnly. Cousin Cui nodded. But everyone has good intentions. After all, you've suffered so much for so many years, that's what you think. Jing Yunzhao's attitude was slightly cold. If I was the one who asked for everyone's help, you can say whatever you want now. I will repay what I owe you. But I was the one who was passive. I did not touch a single cent of the donations. What do you mean by asking me to repay you now? Jing Yunzhao, I didn't ask for your repayment. Cousin Cui looked shocked, as if she was afraid that others would misunderstand her. It's right to help others. On one hand, I did come this time because I care about you. On the other hand, I came to attend the medicine conference. Since you don't want my repayment, you don't have to treat me like this. I can't afford it. Besides, you're here to attend the medicine conference, and so am I. If you continue to look at me like a condescending savior, I'm afraid I won't be able to stand it and throw you out in front of me. There's no "don't hit women" in my dictionary. Chapter 342. The courtyard was bustling with noise. Everyone was in a group. Some were conversing with each other, while others were competing. Jing Yunzhao's surroundings became quiet because of her words. Cousin Chui's mouth was slightly open, revealing an extremely frightened expression, as if she had been greatly threatened by Jing Yunzhao. Cui Jun was furious. No one had ever been so disrespectful to his cousin. How can you be so unreasonable? My cousin has been so good to you. Not only did she feel sad for you, she even helped you raise funds. It's fine if you didn't even say a word of thanks, but you actually wanted to hit her. What right do you have to hit her? Don't you dare touch my cousin. Cui Jun immediately roared. His voice was extremely loud and unrestrained, interrupting the thoughts of many people around him. Some people saw that this cousin of the Cui family had arrived and were somewhat shocked. Many people had already walked over. Especially when they heard Cui Jun's words, they were even more astonished. It was hard to imagine that Jing Yunzhao, a girl who looked so thin and weak, would actually make such a threatening action. The situation became tense for a moment. These days, Jing Yunzhao had been fighting and killing with Hua Zhe every day. Her entire person carried an aura that could not be defied. At this moment, when Cui Jun's words were spoken, Jing Yunzhao's fierce gaze and murderous attitude made people feel a chill in their hearts. They were somewhat at a loss for what to do. Cui Jun's gaze was absent-minded for a moment, and that feeling of fear flashed past. But in the next moment, he could not help but feel that it was funny. Why should he be afraid of Jing Yunzhao? She was just a little girl. Could it be that she would really throw his cousin or him out like she had just said? Not to mention that she could not do it, even if she could, the people in this courtyard were not incompetent. Moreover, if they were to fight and cause trouble here, the consequences would be very serious. Jing Yunzhao had read the description of the medicinal association. Naturally, she would not foolishly send herself forward and be used against her. At this moment, she lightly snorted, looked at Cousin Cui, and said with a smile, "I heard that you have a photographic memory and are very familiar with the medicinal properties of medicinal herbs. You are also very proficient in making medicine, right?" "Of course." Cousin Chui's face was filled with pride. "If that's the case, then let's have a competition. If I win, you apologize to me and take Cui Jun and scram. If you win, I'll hand over the herbs I brought with both hands and also leave. What do you think?" Jing Yunzhao continued. The other party looked at her with suspicion. "Jing Yunzhao, you don't have to do this. If you don't want me to talk about your past, then I won't talk about it. Just pretend that my classmates and I didn't donate anything to you. What do you think?" the woman said again. Jing Yunzhao's eyes turned cold. "You don't dare. Jing Yunzhao, you only know the basics. My cousin has already learned everything you know. Aren't you just looking for trouble if you want to compete with her? Also, why should my cousin take me away when she lost? What are those medicinal herbs of yours? If you want to compete, let's do it big. You have to promise on the spot that you will not learn to make medicine in the future. No matter what your relationship with Elder Su is, you will not have any contact with him from now on." Cui Jun suddenly said on a whim. He only felt that his whole body was much more energetic. When he thought that Jing Yunzhao was about to lose and cry, he was simply overjoyed. He did not know why he hated this girl so much. Perhaps it was because he felt that she was too eye-catching. Or perhaps it was because she should not be so eye-catching, but she stood on a higher level than him, which made him uncomfortable. Chapter 343. Hearing this, Jing Yunzhao chuckled, "Okay. But since you want me to bet on a big one, shouldn't the two of you pay a little?" Jing Yunzhao added. Everyone became excited as well. They had been competing in private for the past few days, but everyone had restrained themselves a little, afraid that others would see through them. Rather than calling it a competition, it would be better to call it an inquiry. However, this was the first time they had been in such an aggressive situation where they wanted to place bets. "What do you want us to bet on?" "Jing Yunzhao, just say it," Cousin Chui said. "If I win, the two of you will be removed from the pharmaceutical industry." After Jing Yunzhao finished speaking, she asked Tong Yan to go to her room and take out the things she had prepared. "If you think it's a loss to exchange 1 for 2, this medicinal herb will be my bet." After that, Jing Yunzhao opened the brocade box. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air when they saw it. There was a ginseng in the brocade box. The ginseng was long and flawless. It was obviously a wild variety and had been growing for many years. Not to mention a few million, if it met a stubborn person, they would buy it even if it cost tens of millions. The ginseng that Jing Yunzhao took out at this time was better than the one she sold to Su Lao. At this medicine conference, everyone had to show 1 or 2 medicinal herbs. Regardless of the price, they only looked at the rise and efficacy of the herbs. Of course, it was also to increase their fame and fortune. Jing Yunzhao didn't know the situation at first. After Su Lao instructed her, she directly picked this ginseng. After she came and read the explanation of the medicine conference, she understood. Therefore, she originally planned to give this ginseng to Su Lao after the medicine conference as a way of thanking him for teaching her. As soon as Jing Yunzhao took out the ginseng, the people around were stunned, let alone Cui Jun and Cousin Cui. Cui Jun was fine. Although he knew that ginseng was good, he didn't know much about ginseng and couldn't know its exact value. However, Cousin Cui knew. It was because of this that she was jealous and her heart beat faster. Some of the others were already annoyed. If they could get such a good ginseng by winning a competition, they would definitely compete with Jing Yunzhao. However, there was only one such good ginseng. It was a pity that Cousin Cui got the opportunity. Everyone looked at the cousins of the Cui family enviously. Cousin Cui's eyes were burning. She knew that she couldn't refuse. Even at the risk of being removed from the list. Of course, she did not think that she would lose to Jing Yunzhao. Her parents didn't treat her well and left her in the Cui family. Since she was young, she knew that she was living under someone else's roof, so she could only try her best to cater to the Cui family. Fortunately, she was talented in medicinal herbs, had a keen sense of smell, and had a good memory, so she was put in an important position in the Cui family. How could someone like her lose to Jing Yunzhao who didn't have any family background? "It's fine if you don't want to bet. Just take it as a joke." Jing Yunzhao suddenly changed his tone when he saw their expressions. He was about to put away the ginseng as he spoke. "I'll bet." Cousin Cui immediately shouted when she saw this. After shouting, her face was as red as a cloud. She knew that her reaction was too intense, but what could she do? If Jing Yunzhao really regretted it, she would definitely regret it for the rest of her life. If she won this ginseng, she would have capital. Its value was not low, and it was enough for her to leave the Cui family. Jing Yunzhao sneered, "You weren't like this just now. You said that you would raise money for me and that you wouldn't ask for anything in return. You were so righteous. It turns out, that's all." Chapter 344. Jing Yunzhao lowered her head and looked at the ginseng in her hand. She stroked it gently, and her smile didn't disappear. It was especially dazzling in Cousin Cui's eyes. She couldn't pretend anymore, but if she could get the thing in her hand, she didn't have to continue pretending to be kind. Everyone wanted good things. She wanted it too. What was wrong with that? "You don't have to mock me. You were the one who proposed the bet, and you took out the ginseng yourself. Since you said so, how can I not agree?" Cousin Chui said. She was afraid that Jing Yunzhao would regret it, so she added, but Jing Yunzhao, I'm not an unreasonable person. You've had a difficult life since you were young. If you don't want to bet, I can understand. How could Jing Yunzhao not know that she was purposely using her past to provoke her? However, this tactic was no longer as effective against her now. Since you're so kind and want to forgive me, then forget it. Jing Yunzhao looked up and smiled. Cousin Chui's heart shook violently, and she secretly gritted her teeth. Chui Jun saw this and was deeply moved by his cousin's thoughts. He believed in his cousin's ability and immediately said, Bet. Why shouldn't you bet? You clearly provoked my cousin just now, and now you regret it after taking out the ginseng. What do you take my cousin for? What do you take this place for? I'm betting with her, not with you. What right do you have to be arrogant? Jing Yunzhao mercilessly glared back. It's your cousin's decision whether to bet or not. With such a great temptation, if she could resist it, then Jing Yunzhao would treat it as if she was blind and misunderstood her. In the future, when she saw this cousin Chui, she would accompany her politely. Cousin Chui's gaze was complicated. Her chin trembled slightly. After a while, she said, Cousin is right. Since you want to bet, you should keep your word. Do I need to state the bet again? Jing Yunzhao smiled with satisfaction. Her eyebrows were raised, and she looked arrogant. Behind her, Ji Shanshan and Tong Yan were dumbfounded. Ji Shanshan was the most conflicted. She hoped that Cousin Chui would lose, but she also hoped that she would win. If Cousin Chui won, she would feel really uncomfortable, because she would be even more arrogant after taking away such a good thing. But if she lost, Chui Jun would be finished. If he couldn't make the medicine, it meant that he couldn't inherit the family business in the future, and the Chui family would be furious. Although it was only a small promise, this was the medicine fair, and a promise was worth 1,000 gold. If they didn't keep their word, then no one would be willing to associate with them in the future. Not only that, everyone would despise them, and even others would have enough reason to join forces to suppress them. Although it sounded like a fantasy, the truth was that direct and violent. Words are no guarantee. Just sign the contract, Cousin Chui said anxiously. This contract might not be legally binding, but as long as one lived in this world, not only did they have to be bound by the law, their social circle was also very important. Jing Yunzhao nodded in agreement. Immediately, Ji Shanshan sent people to invite the more reputable seniors in the medicine fair. With everyone as witnesses, the bet was established. Jing Yunzhao used her own pharmaceutical future and a sky-high price to participate in the bet with Cousin Chui. The other two also used their futures to accompany her. The bet was too big. Even the Chui family didn't refuse. Because in their eyes, Cousin Chui's ability was extraordinary, and it was impossible for her to lose. Jing Yunzhao, who had no background and no heritage of a medicine family, even if she came in contact with Elder Su, she could only learn some basic knowledge. It was impossible for her to be so powerful. Besides, that ginseng could be used as a treasure to guard the house. If Cousin Chui Jun could win it, it would naturally belong to the Chui family. Chapter 345. Once the bet was made, the people from the Chui family looked at the ginseng in Jing Yunzhao's hands and became determined to get it. It was as if Jing Yunzhao had taken something from their family. Since the ginseng is your bet, shouldn't you leave it with us to prevent any accidents? Chui Jun's father asked. Chui Jun's father was in his 40s, and he looked very dignified. Jing Yunzhao found his words hilarious. Was he worried that she would go back on her word after losing? Jing Yunzhao glanced at everyone present, then walked over to Tong Yan and Ji Shanshan. He stuffed the ginseng box into Tong Yan's hands and said, I'll leave this to you for now. If I lose, I'll give it away. But remember, it's not the Chui clan, it's the Chui clan's cousin. If I win, the ginseng will be returned to me. After this, I'll give each of you a gift as protection money. Is that okay? The Chui clan's cousin was named Sun Yen. She was a greedy person the moment she saw the ginseng. She knew that she didn't necessarily want the ginseng to be given to the Chui clan. Miss Sun Yen would regret it for the rest of her life if she gave away such an expensive ginseng to someone else. Moreover, since she was betting with Sun Yen, she didn't have the right to give the ginseng to anyone else. She didn't want Sun Yen to go back on her word after giving it away. If Sun Yen really had the ability to take the ginseng from her, she would have to hand it over personally. Tong Yen and Ji Shanshan were stunned. They didn't expect Jing Yunzhao to hand such an important ginseng to them. The adults around them looked at them with burning eyes, as if their stomachs were rumbling with hunger. All right. Leave it to me. Let me see if there's anything wrong with the ginseng, right? Ji Shanshan asked directly. Tong Yen suddenly hugged the ginseng box tightly and said, "Don't worry, I won't give this to anyone except you and Sun Yen." Tong Yen. Let me take a look first. Stop fooling around, it's a loss if even a strand of ginseng root is lost. Tong Yen immediately said. The reason why Jing Yunzhao had taken a liking to these two people was, on one hand, because in the entire medicine fair, only these two people were familiar with her. On the other hand, relatively speaking, she also understood their personalities. Tong Yen was an upright and inflexible person. He did not speak much, but he did things sincerely and seriously. He had a gauge in his heart and knew clearly what was right and wrong. Although he was young, his character was steady and reliable. As for Ji Shanshan, although she was an idiot, this idiot was very stubborn and self-centered. Once she had decided on something, it was useless no matter who tried to persuade her. Although her attitude and tone were never pleasant, there was nothing wrong with her character. Jing Yunzhao glanced at Ji Shanshan. If I win, you can have a look at the ginseng. Now that this thing was the gambling capital, it naturally had to be kept in good condition. Ji Shanshan was excited when she heard this. She was certain that if Cousin Chui won, the ginseng would be taken away from her and Tong Yen immediately. She couldn't even look at it from afar, let alone have a closer look. Even if Cui Jun said so, it would be useless. Moreover, Cui Jun would never side with her in front of Sun Yen. However, this made her even more conflicted. Who should she hope to win? At this moment, Sun Yen also heaved a sigh of relief. Although Jing Yunzhao was annoying, she was very satisfied with what she had just said. If the ginseng was taken away by the Chui family, then she wouldn't have the ability to get it back. In that case, what was the point of this gamble? Now, she could finally do her best. Chapter 346. Now that the ginseng was in place, even if the old men were dissatisfied, they could only endure it as long as it wasn't in Jing Yunzhao's hands. The next moment, the elders began to discuss the competition. Jing Yunzhao had made a big bet, and Sun Yen was known for his intelligence, so the competition was divided into several different ways. In order to show their respect for this competition, they even tidied up the backyard and redesigned the venue. In a short period of time, the style of the courtyard had changed. There was an empty space in the middle for the judges to sit. As for the judges, there were 9 of them. They were all highly respected people in the medicine fair. Since the Chui family was involved, they naturally couldn't be judges. However, the Ji family was present. Old Ji, these 2 children are getting older. I'm afraid we might become in-laws in the future. Cui Jun's father stood in front of Master Ji before the competition began. Because the Ji family's ancestors were imperial physicians, they were born with an innate arrogance. Ji Shanshan's father and brother were like this, and even she was the same. Father Ji was also a shrewd man. How could he not understand the Cui family's intentions? They were just reminding them that the competition was about to start so that they could take a stand. Thinking of this, Father Ji felt a little stifled. Although he had a good relationship with the Cui family, they were only in the same line of business and could be considered an alliance. However, in terms of children, he really didn't like Cui Jun. Cui Jun was indeed handsome and had excellent grades. Although he wasn't proficient in medicine, even with his genes, he wouldn't be too bad in the future. However, he was too frivolous. This Cui Jun was arrogant, conceited, and condescending, but he was also full of schemes. His Ji family's daughter was also simple-minded. If she were to be with Cui Jun in the future, who knew how much she would be bullied by him? His daughter liked Cui Jun, but he didn't care about her feelings at all. He was usually cold and sarcastic, but whenever he needed her, he would lower his head and coax her. Only someone like his daughter would think that such a man was good. Just like 2 days ago, the conflict between Shanshan and Jing Yunzhao. Wasn't it because of Cui Jun? Fortunately, although this Jing Yunzhao was introduced by Elder Su, his status wasn't high. Otherwise, if the Ji family offended Elder Su, they wouldn't have a good ending. Papa Ji's heart turned cold at that thought. How can a child's feelings be reliable? She might like it today, but her taste might change tomorrow. Papa Ji replied abruptly. Then, he added, look at her. She was so affectionate with your Cui Jun before, and now she's having so much fun with Tong Yen. Children at this age are the most fickle. When Father Cui heard this, his face turned green. It wasn't that he couldn't understand such an obvious rejection. You can't say that. Your Shanshan has liked Xiao Jun since she was young. I still remember when she came to our house, crying and begging Xiao Jun to be his bride in the future. Father Cui laughed. If Ji Shanshan really liked his son, she wouldn't care what the Ji family thought. No matter what, if the Cui family wanted to treat Ji Shanshan well in the future, it would depend on his performance as her father. If he sided with an outsider, then they wouldn't be able to treat Ji Shanshan as one of their own in the future. Speaking of which, the Cui family didn't like Ji Shanshan, who was qualified but lacked brains. Papa Ji was extremely depressed. When he thought of his daughter, there was nothing he could do. He could only mutter, we'll talk about it later. Then, he walked straight to Ji Shanshan. Chapter 347. Meanwhile, Ji Shanshan and Tong Yen were sitting next to Jing Yunzhao. The two of them were like guardians, unwilling to let go of the brocade box. When Papa Ji arrived, he didn't look at anyone else. He directly pulled Ji Shanshan over. Shanshan, do you want Sun Yen to win or lose? Dad, why are you asking this? Are you going to? Ji Shanshan's mouth fell open. Her father wasn't going to do something, was he? Papa Ji's face darkened. I'm not that capable. There are 9 judges. What's the point of me doing something? Besides, there will be a lot of people around during the competition. If I go easy on Sun Yen, won't they see through it? I'm just asking you what you think. Obviously, he couldn't go easy on Sun Yen, but the judges were important too. If they were biased towards one side, it would affect the outcome. Especially if Jing Yunzhao and Sun Yen were evenly matched. If the judges all favored Sun Yen, then Jing Yunzhao's defeat was basically set. However, this kind of thing wasn't clean and it was done in front of everyone. It would hurt his reputation. If he didn't have a good reason, he naturally wouldn't do it. Ji Shanshan was dumbfounded by her father's words. She didn't know either. I want Cui Jun to win, but I don't want Sun Yen to win. Ji Shanshan mumbled. Papa G rolled his eyes. They're on the same side. Shanshan, you better think about it carefully. It's not just this competition, but also the future. Between you and Cui Jun, do you have to choose him? Cui Jun's father came to me just now. His attitude wasn't very good. Although he didn't say it directly, his meaning was clear. If I don't help the Cui family, then you'll never be able to catch up to Cui Jun, or you'll have a hard time in the Cui family. The Cui family already dared to threaten me when you two haven't even started dating. You don't even want to fight for your father's dignity. What's so good about Cui Jun? I think Tong Yen is better than him. Besides, do you think he cares about you? Ever since his cousin, Sun Yen, came, he hasn't even looked at you properly. His cousin is more important than you, yet you still treat him like a treasure. You're so stupid. Papa G couldn't stay calm after scolding her, but his heart softened after he finished scolding her. Especially when she saw her daughter's angry and tragic face, she sighed again. He had wanted to say these words for a long time, but this daughter of his was his treasure. Usually, he couldn't bear to say a harsh word to her, so no matter what she did, he just let her do it. In the past, although he knew that she liked Cui Jun, he didn't stop her. The main reason was that he thought that she was still young and her relationship was unstable. She might not like him when she grew up. But today, he was really angry. This Cui family actually used his daughter to threaten him for the sake of that ginseng. This was too infuriating. At this time, Ji Shanshan was scolded until she was dizzy. She was innocent. Dad, you don't like Cui Jun. After a while, she asked with red eyes. How is he worthy of my liking? If the person you like is Tong Yen, then I promise I won't stop you. Although the Tong family is far from our family, they are all honest people. Papa G added. At this time, although Papa G deliberately avoided Jing Yunzhao, Jing Yunzhao's hearing was very good after practicing martial arts. He heard every word. Papa G wasn't stupid. He knew that Cui Jun wasn't a good person. But wasn't it too early for him to talk about love with a 16-year-old daughter? It would be strange if Ji Shanshan listened. I don't like Tong Yen. Ji Shanshan pursed her lips and said, Dad, it's fine as long as you don't side with anyone. It's my business if I like Cui Jun. I don't need the whole family to help Sun Yen. Chapter 348. Ji Shanshan was calm. Papa Ji was speechless for a while after she finished speaking. His daughter was indeed stupid, but she was filial. That was why he felt bad for her. Papa Ji suppressed his anger. He looked at his daughter, then at Jing Yunzhao. He still wanted to help Sun Yen if he could. His daughter said she wasn't biased, but that was for his sake. However, his daughter still liked Cui Jun. As a father, he couldn't pretend he didn't know. He could only think that Jing Yunzhao wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow. That way, he wouldn't need to worry. Since he had already decided to help Sun Yen, Papa Ji felt a little guilty towards Jing Yunzhao. He stared at his daughter and said, since he asked you to look after it, you and Tong Yen should protect it well. Even if it's Cui Jun, you can't give it to him. If the ginseng is damaged, our family will have to pay for it. Do you understand? Ji Shanshan nodded. Cui Jun wouldn't ask for the ginseng. He was cheering for Sun Yen right now. Humph. Jing Yunzhao wasn't stupid. When he heard Papa Ji's words, he knew that Papa Ji was more or less biased towards the Cui family. However, it didn't matter to him. Although the judges' attitudes had an impact on the competition, it didn't matter much, especially in front of so many people. Once Papa Ji left, Ji Shanshan rubbed her nose and sat back down. She looked at Cui Jun's seat. She saw that Cui Jun was sitting with his cousin, looking concerned. Even if she wasn't close, she could imagine that Cui Jun was cheering for Sun Yan. How could he think of her? Ji Shanshan huffed angrily. Jing Yunzhao looked at her and found it funny. Jing Yunzhao, what do you think is so good about Sun Yan? When I grow up, I'll definitely be prettier than her. Plus, she's the most pretentious person. Cui Jun is really too much. Why does he treat her like a fairy? Ji Shanshan complained. Sun Yan is smart, and she knows how to dress. She looks pure and gentle. She's a good helper for the Cui family. A woman like her can take care of the family and be obedient. Can you do the same? Jing Yunzhao didn't hold back. Of course, these advantages of Sun Yan were all superficial. A person's acting ability wouldn't last long. A woman like Sun Yan would remain the same for a short period of time after getting married, but once she had children or grasped the power of her family, she would slowly return to her original nature. Gentleness, politeness, or intelligence were all her weapons to fight for greater benefits for herself. So what if she's good? She's Cui Jun's cousin. She's Cui Jun's biological cousin. It's impossible, Ji Shanshan said unwillingly. Jing Yunzhao suddenly smiled and said coldly, there will always be a few people like Sun Yan in this world. This is the type of woman that Cui Jun likes. It can't be changed. Ji Shanshan was stunned. Every time she told the people around her that she liked Cui Jun, they would comfort her and say that Cui Jun must like her too. How could they be like Jing Yunzhao? However, there was nothing wrong with that. Previously, when she brought her classmate to meet Cui Jun was very gentle towards her classmate, and her classmate was the kind of person who was very gentle and reasonable. Ji Shanshan felt a little uncomfortable. She tried hard to control her emotions and shook her head. After a while, her gaze became firm again. What if she was special to Cui Jun? Ji Shanshan didn't say anything. Jing Yunzhao didn't remind her either. After waiting for a while, the crowd quieted down. The competition had officially begun. Chapter 349. The courtyard was very big, and there were 2 long tables in the middle. On top of the tables were various auxiliary materials, tools, and even boilers needed to concoct medicinal herbs. However, the first round of the competition was not about concoction, but memory. Jing Yunzhao walked to his seat and saw a book on the table. The book was not thick, and the cover was completely white. He couldn't see what was written inside. Sun Yan was naturally the same. After the 2 of them confirmed the competition, they were separated from the person who set the questions, so they didn't get any information in advance. Everyone said that Sun Yan was smart. She always learned the things that she was taught with one look, and she had the ability to remember everything. This was Sun Yan's strength, so Jing Yunzhao proposed the competition. In fact, the so-called retentive memory could sometimes be cultivated. For example, she had put a lot of effort into books since she was a child. The more things she memorized, the faster her memory would become. Before her rebirth, her memory was already very good. If it was something simple or not very complicated, she could basically memorize it with one look. After her rebirth, she had the space and absorbed the spirit jade, so she really had a retentive memory. She could basically memorize a book after reading it once. If she read it a few times, she would firmly remember it and wouldn't forget it for a long time. Otherwise, she would have improved so much in such a short time. The content of the first round of the competition in your hands now has the names of various medicinal herbs written in it. You need to write them down in the correct order without missing a word. The time to memorize is 5 minutes, and the time to write from memory is 20 minutes. When the time is up, the side that writes the most and makes the least mistakes wins. Is there any problem? An old man below said. This method was relatively simple, but some medicinal herbs' names had always been difficult to remember. It was still very difficult to write them down completely in the correct order. Sun Yan immediately nodded. She had no problems with her memory. Even if there were a few mistakes in the middle, she would definitely be better than Jing Yunzhao. Jing Yunzhao's results were just better, but she was different. When she was a child, everyone said that she was a genius when she memorized medicinal herbs. At this time, Jing Yunzhao also agreed. After the two of them confirmed it, one of the people below blew the whistle. Instantly, the countdown began. In fact, not many people paid attention to the first round. After all, it was just a test of memory. Most people were born with it. They had already seen Sun Yan's intelligence before. As for Jing Yunzhao, he was probably no match for her. However, memory was still very important. If a person was stupid, their speed of improvement would naturally be slow. In their line of work, they had come into contact with countless medicinal herbs. They had to memorize the medicinal properties of each medicinal herb. If they couldn't even do this, then they shouldn't even think about concocting them. The surroundings were quiet, and no one made a sound. Everyone was afraid that they would accidentally affect their memories. The two of them were holding a thin book in their hands, and the pages were flipping at an extremely fast speed. Ji Shanshan and Tong Yan were very close to each other because they were holding the ginseng. Their hearts were also pounding. Sun Yan's speed of flipping through the pages seemed to be slower than Jing Yunzhao's, but Jing Yunzhao's speed was a little too excessive. Could it be that his eyes were a scanner? Was it really so easy to memorize the things in the book? At this time, Jing Yunzhao's brain was working rapidly. In her mind, the medicinal herbs were arranged in an instant. Every time she thought of these medicinal herbs, she would subconsciously think about what kind of medicinal properties they had. Those memories had been completely imprinted in her mind. Chapter 350. 5 minutes passed very quickly. As soon as the time was up, someone immediately came forward to take away the books in their hands. A pen and paper had already been placed on the table. Jing Yunzhao picked up her pen and drew on the paper, but surprisingly, there wasn't a single black mark on the paper. Her eyes darkened as she raised her head to look at the judges, only to see that they were all acting as if they didn't know what was going on. Their faces were full of shock, but no one stopped the competition. Every minute and second could determine success or failure. It seemed that someone really didn't want her to be well. Jing Yunzhao took a deep breath and filled the fountain pen with ink. She wiped her hands and started to write down from memory. This series of actions took about 2 minutes, but 2 minutes was enough for Sun Yan to do a lot of things. Especially since even though Jing Yunzhao had quickly solved the problem of the fountain pen, her own speed seemed to be slow and sluggish, as if she wasn't in a hurry. This really made the people below nervous. Sun Yan's reputation was good. She could be considered a proud daughter of heaven in everyone's eyes. Coupled with her good looks and gentle personality, she was still very popular among the young people in this medicine association. Jing Yunzhao was different. She came from nowhere. Her personality was unusually cold, and she didn't like to socialize with others. In addition, her family background wasn't good. In comparison, there were naturally not many people who wanted her to win. Although the people below the stage were anxious about her actions just now, most of them were laughing at her. However, Tong Yan and Ji Shanshan felt uncomfortable watching. Especially Ji Shanshan. Logically speaking, she should want Sun Yan to win, but seeing Jing Yunzhao's actions so slow, she couldn't help but want to slap the person who did this to her to death. What's so good about doing things behind people's backs? If you have the ability, do it in front of them. In any case, if it were her, she would bully someone openly if she hated them. She wouldn't do such a cowardly thing. Unfortunately, she was the emperor who was not anxious, but the eunuch was anxious. Jing Yunzhao didn't even show an angry expression. She just buried her head and wrote. From afar, one could only see that the pen in her hand was moving very fast. It seemed that one could hear the shwa-shwa sound. At first, everyone thought that Jing Yunzhao's writing speed would slow down after a while, but who knew that as time passed by, Jing Yunzhao still maintained her initial speed while Sun Yan, who was beside her, had already started to slow down. Occasionally, she would even pause to think. A few drops of sweat had already formed on her forehead. Sun Yan could only hear Jing Yunzhao's incessant scribbling and drawing. She felt a little anxious. Why didn't she know how to pause? Could it be that he could memorize it so well that he didn't miss a single word? Although she remembered most of the things in the book, it was too fast after all. This kind of memory usually only lasted for a very short period of time, so now the content behind was a little fuzzy. Therefore, every time she wrote down a medicinal herb, she had to think for a while. Sun Yan's red lips moved as she tried to recall, but Jing Yunzhao really disturbed her thoughts, making her more and more uncertain. After a while, seeing that the time was almost up, Sun Yan comforted herself for a while. Maybe Jing Yunzhao was purposely trying to disturb her, that's why she wrote so quickly. Jing Yunzhao started writing about 2 minutes later than her, so it was impossible for her to have written more than her, and it was even more impossible for her to remember so accurately. With this thought, Sun Yan became a lot more rational. Only then did the speed of her hand slightly increase. The audience actually didn't feel bored and kept staring at the two. Sun Yan looked elegant, and Jing Yunzhao's appearance was even more outstanding. How could they be distracted by such an eye-catching scene? However, when there was only 1 minute left, Jing Yunzhao suddenly stopped. Chapter 351. Jing Yunzhao hadn't stopped writing since she started, but now she had suddenly quieted down. Everyone was curious. Could it be that she couldn't write anymore? Inexplicably, everyone was looking forward to seeing what Jing Yunzhao had written on the paper. Sun Yan's hand trembled as her mind wandered. At this moment, Ji Shanshan was about to explode. Why did she stop? Hurry up and write. It's not time yet. I think she's done, right? Tong Yan said uncertainly. Jing Yunzhao put down the pen and put the pen cap back on. She tidied up the things in her hands, then sat upright in front of the table. She was very quiet, and she didn't look around. She even looked a little relaxed as she waited leisurely. Her attitude made it even more difficult for the others to judge. A minute passed quickly, but it was torture for Sun Yan. The December weather was a little cold, and she was nervous, so her hands were a little clumsy. Suddenly, a whistle sounded, scaring Sun Yan and causing her pen to fall to the ground. A moment of panic flashed across her face before it returned to its original state. Compared to Jing Yunzhao's attitude, her attitude had fallen, and the difference was so great that it couldn't even be compared to Jing Yunzhao. The contrast between the two girls was very obvious. Sun Yan's appearance was not bad, but at this moment, in front of Jing Yunzhao, she was overshadowed. Even her temperament was quite different. Although Jing Yunzhao was young, she was tall and had a magnanimous face. Her expression was generous, and her gaze was firm. Sun Yan, on the other hand, had put on light makeup. She was beautiful, but when she stood too close to Jing Yunzhao, she seemed a little vulgar. Moreover, her panic just now had clearly reduced her temperament. When the time came, the paper on the two's table was taken out and pasted on the panel in front of the judges. Everyone looked at it together. Next to them, there was a person in charge of reading the original book. Jing Yunzhao's handwriting was handsome and vigorous. It didn't look like it was written by a woman, but it was more delicate than rough, and people couldn't help but take a few more glances. Amomum, Ceralia, Radix latifolia, 1,000 gold seed. Fragrant incense, black medicine, thunder pill, sulfur, sparrow egg, swallow's nest. At the side, someone had already started reading. Following the voice, everyone stared at the two's words. In front of the panel, there was a person in charge of marking the words to ensure that there were no mistakes. The herbs at the beginning was naturally correct. Everyone had thought that Sun Yan's ability was not bad, but they didn't expect Jing Yunzhao's words. So it turned out that she wasn't just randomly writing from memory. After wasting 2 minutes, she was still able to calmly write out something so accurate. It was really rare. Moreover, if they remembered correctly, when she was reciting, Jing Yunzhao's speed was also extremely fast. White wax, lizard, black snake, graveyard snake, purple flower, jade hairpin root. 2. Miss Sun is wrong, he added. Everyone was disappointed, but after thinking about it carefully, they felt that it was not surprising. Black snake and purple flower had similar words, so it was easy to put them together. It was common to lose a herb in the middle that was not easy to remember. There would definitely be no mistakes. In other words, the probability of making a mistake was definitely lower than Jing Yunzhao's. Chapter 352. Many people cast comforting glances at Sun Yan. Sun Yan's complexion improved slightly, and she returned a smile. Fairy phone, Jindilluo, centipede, green fish gallbladder. Gallnut, Jinju, tangerine pear, essence brightness powder, 100 herb frost. The people next to her didn't care too much and continued reading. However, the more she read, the more difficult it became. There was no order in the order of the herbs. After 2 minutes, the person standing next to Sun Yan's answer sheet spoke again. She lost 2 more herbs, and, the order is wrong. What about Jing Yunzhao? Someone asked directly. All correct. The judges were also very helpless. Compared to Jing Yunzhao, who came out of nowhere, they naturally favored Sun Yan, who had the strength and the future. They wanted to help her, but although she didn't make many mistakes, Jing Yunzhao didn't make any at all. Sun Yan's face was ashen. There were still dozens of herbs left. Everyone could see that Sun Yan's chances of making mistakes increased as she read. Moreover, her handwriting could be said to be very messy, with some scratches and scratches. It was very messy and didn't look very clear. In contrast, Jing Yunzhao's handwriting looked as if it was engraved on the top. It was neat and tidy, and looking at it was a pleasure. The handwriting was like the person. Jing Yunzhao's handwriting was very similar to her, very cold. Not long after, it was completely over. Still, no one on Jing Yunzhao's side pointed out any mistakes, while Sun Yan made about 10 or so mistakes. In fact, although this error rate was higher than Jing Yunzhao's, it was still considered very good. After all, she only had 5 minutes to memorize. Some people might not even be able to memorize the first 10 herbs after such a long time. Jing Yunzhao wins the first round. Does anyone have any questions? A judge asked. The others could only nod. What questions were there? They were all correct. Even if they wanted to nitpick, they couldn't find any flaws. Moreover, even if they did, it wouldn't be as bad as Sun Yan's. Sun Yan bit her lip and squeezed out a smile. Jing Yunzhao, I didn't expect your memory to be so good. No wonder your results are so good. Has Miss Sun never been to school? Even though having a good memory can affect your studies, it's not a decisive factor. Jing Yunzhao also smiled, but her voice was cold as she replied. Other than memory, understanding is also very important, right? Every time she got first place, she didn't just rely on memorizing things. She couldn't even count the number of papers she had done and questions she had read. Sun Yan felt depressed. I might have to go all out in the following matches, so I won't go easy on you. You have to work hard too. Sun Yan said. Jing Yunzhao smirked. So you didn't use your full strength just now? Alright then, let's have a rematch. I don't want my victory to be unreal. Miss Sun, it's better to be honest. A win is a win, and a loss is a loss. Don't always find reasons for yourself. Just now, you didn't look like you were going easy on me. Although Jing Yunzhao didn't like to talk much, he had never been at a disadvantage when it was necessary to use his poisonous tongue. She didn't want to be a good-for-nothing. She didn't want to be provoked word by word, but she could only lower her head in silence. Sun Yan immediately felt embarrassed. She had indeed used her full strength. After all, this was related to the ginseng. How could she go easy on Jing Yunzhao? She only said that to save face. She had long since gotten used to this way of speaking. Jing Yunzhao, do you have to be so aggressive? I begged a lot of people for you. Sun Yan said with a sad expression. Chapter 353. Sun Yan was naturally talking about the fundraising for Jing Yunzhao. In fact, she had only heard about Jing Yunzhao by chance, and it was all because of Ji Shanshan. At that time, Ji Shanshan was infected by the deeds on the internet and pestered her parents to donate some medicinal herbs. Later, she went to Cui Jun and kept talking about how pitiful Jing Yunzhao was in front of him. Cui Jun was very patient, and naturally, the news reached her ears. She didn't care about it at first. After all, she was just an irrelevant person. However, there was a Person of the Year contest on the school forum. Although there was no monetary reward, the person who was selected could be invited to a high-end place to play. It wasn't a school activity, but a few rich second-generation students. Although she didn't lack food and clothing in the Cui family, she wasn't considered superior. Although the Cui family was rich, they couldn't compare with those businessmen in terms of financial resources. Therefore, she wanted to get in touch with the upper class and see what their lives were like. If she wanted to be selected, she naturally had to have a gimmick. There were many beauties in the school, and the competition was fierce. She thought of a way, and that was to organize people to donate money to Jing Yunzhao and raise a kind name. Many people knew that she had caused a lot of trouble at that time, and that was why she was able to attract attention. If Jing Yunzhao wasn't useful in the first place, she naturally wouldn't be so kind to her. Now, Jing Yunzhao glanced at her, and a trace of disdain flashed in her eyes. There are a lot of people who wanted to help me, but in the end, none of them succeeded. You're the first one who didn't succeed and still flaunted your achievements in front of me. Miss Sun, I know that you're compassionate and willing to help others, but you don't have to emphasize it again and again, Jing Yunzhao said before changing the topic. The second round should be starting soon, right? If you are convinced by the first round's results, then let's continue. I have already won one round, so even if you forfeit now, I will still win. You will have to get out of my sight as promised. After Jing Yunzhao finished speaking, she turned around and put away the piece of paper she had just written on. She had practiced calligraphy for a long time in her previous life and participated in many competitions. Later, she kept practicing in prison. She didn't get these things for free. She had worked hard and risked her life. Sun Yan's lips trembled slightly. Let's continue. It was already a little late, so the surrounding area was lit up like it was daytime. Under the lights, Jing Yunzhao's attitude was calm and incomparably dazzling. The judges also took their seats and continued. The second round is about recognizing herbs and discussing medicinal properties. It's still a written test. After the judges finished speaking, the long table in front of them was filled with medicinal herbs. Some of them were very fresh, some were dry, and some were not medicinal herbs, but other parts of medicinal herbs. One had to be able to distinguish them. Some medicinal herbs were based on their roots, but those who truly understood medicinal herbs could tell what kind of medicine it belonged to just by looking at its buds or smelling its scent. They could even tell its medicinal properties. This round was a test of one's ability and knowledge. If Zhang Xian only relied on reading and memorizing, it was impossible for him to win. Sun Yan finally regained some confidence. She often went in and out of the Cui family's medicine warehouse, and sometimes helped the Cui family to process the herbs, so recognizing the medicine was very easy for her. As for the medicinal properties, it was also not difficult for her. The two of them started writing again. Jing Yunzhao's attitude was serious, as if she was immersed in her own world. Every medicinal herb was carefully examined, smelled, and identified. Then, she waved her hand on the paper. Chapter 354. Looking at Jing Yunzhao's appearance, some people began to hesitate. This Jing Yunzhao doesn't look like a novice. You can tell when you look at her herbs. She knows which herbs are easy to distinguish and which ones need to be tasted to distinguish. Jing Yunzhao didn't even put the poisonous herbs in her mouth. As for the ones with questionable taste, she covered her nose and lowered her head to examine them. Another thing was that when different herbs were combined together, they could produce unimaginable effects, or they could affect the medicinal properties of the herbs. Jing Yunzhao understood this principle very well. Every time she finished looking at a herb, she would wash her hands whenever she touched it. This was to prevent her hands from being stained with the smell of the herb and affecting the rest. In short, Jing Yunzhao did a better job than Sun Yan when it came to the details. Some people who originally thought Jing Yunzhao couldn't win changed their minds. Cui Jun and his son's expressions also became serious. They couldn't lose. They couldn't afford to lose. Cui Jun was the only son in the Cui family. If he couldn't become a master pharmacist, it would be a joke. All of their hopes were placed on Sun Yan. They even began to regret it, but it was too late. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, the second round was over. This time, the papers in their hands were densely packed. However, Jing Yunzhao's paper was still much more pleasing to the eye. However, with the lesson from last time, Sun Yan paid more attention to her appearance. She didn't simply scribble. She only made a note of the mistakes. Because of this, the mistakes were very clear. The previous competitions that Sun Yan participated in were much simpler than this one. At the very least, the herbs weren't so complicated. Therefore, among her peers, she was bound to win. However, this time was different. Ephedra, Changshan, grass gentian, these are all correct. Father Ji nodded and said. These were all relatively simple. Some of the basic ones couldn't be wrong. As for the medicinal properties, the two of them wrote down very comprehensively. However, when they looked at the end, everyone's expressions became more solemn. After seeing Jing Yunzhao's performance in the first round, the ingredients at the end were all suddenly added in, purposely increasing the difficulty to avoid a situation where both of them answered correctly and ended up in a tie. One says it's Dongbi soil, while the other says it's Wuba soil. That's a huge difference, Father Ji muttered. This is Dongbi soil. It's the soil on the eastern wall of a building. But now it's common to see cement walls, so it's not common. Medicinal properties: sweet, warm, non-toxic. It's mainly used to detoxify, remove yellow, reduce swelling, and disinfect. Sun Yan, you only wrote Dongbi soil here. You didn't write its medicinal properties. And this is not Dongbi soil. Another person said. Sun Yan was taken aback. How could it be so easy to distinguish between these dusty things? She was not an experienced master, so it was normal for her to make mistakes. Who asked their questions to be so difficult? Is that Wuba mud? I've never heard of it, Sun Yan asked nervously. If Jing Yunzhao got it right, it would be difficult for her to make a comeback even if she got the medicinal herbs right. That's right. It's also called children's tea. It's normal that you don't know about it because it's mainly produced in Nanyanyan City. The fine tea powder is put into a bamboo tube, tightly stuffed at both ends, and buried in a ditch. After a long time, it's extracted and boiled, an old man continued to explain. When he finished, he didn't forget to point at Jing Yunzhao's writing. It's completely correct. This Wuba mud is bitter, flat, and non-toxic. It's really rare for someone as young as you to recognize this. Sun Yan felt like she was struck by lightning. Jing Yunzhao was right. Chapter 355. Sun Yan was stunned. Her beautiful face was full of surprise and fear. At this moment, it wasn't just her, even the others were feeling a little emotional. After all, if it was said that in the first round, Jing Yunzhao's memory wasn't bad and it was a fluke, then in this round, there was no doubt about her true strength. Not to mention the first few herbs, most of the latter ones were not common, and few people could identify them. However, Jing Yunzhao recognized all of them and even wrote down their medicinal properties. If she didn't have a certain level of knowledge, it would be impossible to do so. What's more, many of the herbs looked very similar to each other. Even an old man with some foundation would have to carefully identify them for a while. Jing Yunzhao's level must have reached the level of a pharmaceutical master, not a simple apprentice. However, these people didn't know that it was the first time she had seen some of the herbs. The reason why she could recognize them was because of the spirit jade and elder Su. In the spirit jade, there was a detailed explanation of various herbs, their taste, smell, and even their different shapes and effects at different times. Of course, the spirit jade was the ancestor's memory. After absorbing it, she integrated the memory into one, so it was normal for her to recognize them. Moreover, when she was with Elder Su, he always pretended to teach her something inadvertently. If she couldn't remember it, she would be scolded by Elder Su for a whole day. At this time, Jing Yunzhao had answered one more question correctly than Sun Yan, so she had the advantage. Then, everyone continued to check the answers. Sun Yan could recognize the common herbs, but it was a little difficult for her to recognize the others. Therefore, there were occasionally one or two correct answers, but even if she guessed the names of the herbs, she couldn't write down the medicinal properties. However, with her age and experience, this was a very good result. However, Jing Yunzhao's answers shocked everyone. She was still correct. She was able to recognize all the strange and unusual medicinal herbs. Not only that, she was even able to write down the medicinal properties of the herbs without the slightest mistake. The courtyard was completely silent. Everyone only felt a cold wind blowing in their hearts. When they looked at Jing Yunzhao's calm attitude, they felt a chill run down their spine. Although there were quite a number of very powerful master alchemists present, none of them were able to produce such amazing results at the age of 16 or 17. However, her attitude was as if it was only natural, which suddenly gave them a misconception that these medicinal ingredients were very simple. In fact, they knew that for beginners, this knowledge was like a book from heaven. It was difficult to understand and remember. That's impossible. Jing Yunzhao, did you already know the answer? You cheated, didn't you? Cui Jun saw Sun Yan's painful expression and immediately stepped forward to protect her. It was as if she had beaten Sun Yan up. Was she so wronged? She did have a great advantage because she had the space and the spirit jade, but these things couldn't be transferred into her mind for no reason. Every time she absorbed the spirit jade, the pain was simply unbearable. She had already endured this pain many times, and in the future, she would have to endure even more. Moreover, it wasn't just absorbing the spirit jade. Usually, she had to spend a lot of effort to remember and integrate it. If she was just a little bit playful, she wouldn't have the ability she had now. If Sun Yen wasn't greedy, she wouldn't have competed with her. Therefore, she still did what she wanted. Chapter 356. Jing Yunzhao stood tall and straight, looking extraordinary. He looked at Cui Jun with contempt and sneered, "Are you suspecting that these test setters leaked the secret?" Among the 9 judges, only 3 of them had set the questions, and they were all respected seniors. It was impossible for them to do such a thing for a junior, even if the junior was sent by Elder Su. That was the dignity of the elders. Although these pharmacists were selfish, most of them were decent people. Since medicinal herbs could save people and harm people, they had learned how to be a good person from the moment they came into contact with medicinal herbs. Of course, it was normal for there to be a few people with bad intentions. After all, it was very difficult to maintain one's conscience with fame and fortune. However, these 3 test setters were all seniors. They must have been honest all their lives. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been elected. Now that Jing Yunzhao had spoken, all 3 of their expressions changed. Their attitude towards Cui Jun was also very displeased. The 3 of us didn't say anything outside of the competition when we set the questions, and we didn't talk to anyone else. How could Jing Yunzhao cheat? Cui Jun, you should be careful with your words. Suddenly, one of the seniors said unhappily. Cui Jun had a proud personality, but that was only towards people of the same age. In front of these rather famous and imposing elders, he was simply speechless. Instantly, his face turned red, and he said in a panic, "I didn't mean that," Jing Yunzhao sneered. This Cui Jun was someone who bullied the weak and feared the strong. Then what do you mean? If no one leaked the questions, how could I cheat? Since you said that I cheated, you should at least give me an explanation, right? Don't tell me you're biting people because you're desperate. Jing Yunzhao didn't plan to let him go. Ji Shanshan saw that Cui Jun was in trouble and became anxious. Cui Jun just didn't believe that you're so good. He said the wrong thing. Why are you not letting him go? It was one thing for her to not hate Jing Yunzhao, but liking Cui Jun was another matter altogether. It was Jing Yunzhao's first time seeing someone who was so clear about his preferences. Ji Shanshan's attitude could be considered normal when Cui Jun was not involved. However, once Cui Jun was involved, even if they had a good relationship before, she would be able to cast him aside in the blink of an eye. If she looked back and saw that the competition was over, Ji Shanshan might come running to her again. If this wasn't schizophrenia, then what was? Jing Yunzhao was speechless. Ji Shanshan, are you retarded? Although she never showed weakness, she rarely scolded others. But now, she really couldn't hold it in anymore. Women in love were all idiots. This sentence was not groundless, especially for people like Ji Shanshan. Why are you scolding me? If there's anything you're dissatisfied with, just say it. Ji Shanshan frowned, no longer angry. If it was before, she would have already rolled up her sleeves and fought with Jing Yunzhao. However, after interacting with Jing Yunzhao for the past 2 to 3 days, she could tell that Jing Yunzhao wasn't someone who got angry easily, let alone someone who would fuss over every ounce. Of course, this was excluding when facing an enemy. Jing Yunzhao glanced at her. You want me to say it? Fine. I'll say it for you. I'm not letting Cui Jun go because I hate him, although that's the truth. Besides, this is a matter of principle. If he acts shamelessly after losing the competition, it shows that he has a bad character. If he denies it after being reprimanded by his seniors, it shows that he's not firm enough. I didn't do anything to Sun Yan, but he immediately rushed up to me. This shows that he has a bad eye for people. He's selfish and short-sighted. But he didn't say anything when you tried to help him. That means he thinks you're stupid and impulsive, and doesn't treat you as one of his own. Ji Shanshan, do you want me to make it clear? Chapter 357. Rather than saying that Cui Jun was helping Sun Yan, it was more accurate to say that he was protecting the white moonlight in his heart. And this white moonlight was his cousin, so she was destined to never be a mosquito on the wall. She would always be protected and protected by him like a fairy. Once a woman had such a place in a man's heart, everyone else would become dispensable. Sun Yan was very smart. She lived in the Cui family, so it was inevitable that she would be treated differently. Thus, she immediately captured Cui Jun, who was the most controllable factor, and sat firmly on the fishing platform. No matter how good Sun Yan's memory was, without the Cui family's support, there was no way she could have learned so many things. And would the Cui family really support an outsider? Without Cui Jun's help, she didn't believe that this cousin of hers had the qualifications to learn about medicine. At most, she would help with some chores. But Ji Shanshan couldn't understand. In Cui Jun's heart, she wasn't even a mosquito. Jing Yunzhao's words stunned Ji Shanshan for a moment. Cui Jun isn't as bad as you say. He's smart, good-looking, and has a gentle personality. Gentle to you. I'm afraid he'll only be a little more modest when he has something to ask of you. Ji Shanshan, don't you know what you are? You're a spare tire, and the kind that you'll never want to replace. Ji Shanshan had always been very thick-skinned, but now that her position in Cui Jun's heart was questioned, she was very sad and almost cried. But at this moment, Ji Shanshan thought that since she was being bullied by Jing Yunzhao, Cui Jun would definitely stand up for her and prove that she wasn't a spare tire. She had been the apple of her parents' eye since she was young, and she even had an older brother to protect her. Who would say that she was a spare tire? Ji Shanshan curled her lips and turned around, only to see Cui Jun still frowning and lowering his head to comfort Sun Yan. Instantly, the bottle of vinegar was knocked over. Cui Jun. Sun Yan lost, so what? You can't comfort her. Who told her to be so stupid to compete with Jing Yunzhao? Ji Shanshan shouted directly. Jing Yunzhao's mouth twitched. No wonder Cui Jun always liked to use her. Idiot. Sun Yan instantly felt wronged. I'm sorry, cousin. I lost. It's all because I'm useless. There are still 3 more matches, but I've already lost 2. What should I do? Out of the 5 rounds of competition, the first 2 rounds were just a warm-up. The real skills would come later, and they would be competing in concocting medicine. However, Sun Yan had already lost all will to fight. After all, Jing Yunzhao's strength was too shocking. She didn't know what kind of surprises Jing Yunzhao would bring to others. When the time came, Jing Yunzhao would be worshipped and admired by others, and she would be the clown who had to run away in embarrassment. She wouldn't even be able to squeeze out the opportunity to make medicine in the future. Don't blame your cousin. I really don't blame you. Seeing Sun Yan cry, Cui Jun immediately panicked. He subconsciously yelled at Ji Shanshan, "Are you crazy, Ji Shanshan? Can't you see that my cousin is suffering right now? If you don't want to comfort her, then shut up. Hearing your voice annoys me." Ji Shanshan's heart skipped a beat when she heard this. However, for some reason, he wasn't too surprised. After all, he had been scolded by Cui Jun before, and it was mostly because of Sun Yan. She curled her lips and didn't say anything. However, Ji Shanshan's father and brother couldn't stand it anymore. They usually couldn't even bear to say a harsh word to their daughter. Now, Cui Jun was scolding her in public. Cui Jun. Don't go too far. My daughter is young and doesn't know any better. She treats you as a friend. Has your conscience been eaten by a dog? Chapter 358. Cui Jun blurted out the harsh words in a moment of panic. But when he heard Papa G's voice, he immediately backed down. However, he was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. How could he care less? I don't have time to comfort Ji Shanshan right now. We'll talk about it later. He and his cousin were facing the risk of losing. How could he be in the mood to mess around with Ji Shanshan? His cousin had always been a proud daughter of heaven. She had always been outstanding and had never suffered such a blow. He could tell just by looking at her now. She was crying so miserably that it made his heart ache. Ji Shanshan, on the other hand, didn't comfort her. Instead, she hit her when she was down. This was his cousin. She should at least give him some face. We'll talk about it later. Cui Zhanxian, look at your son. Papa Ji raged. Seeing her father like this, Ji Shanshan couldn't be so heartless. She hurried over and tugged at his clothes. Dad, don't be angry. Cui Jun's father, Cui Zhanxian, didn't look too good either. He didn't expect to lose 2 matches in a row. He had complaints in his heart, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. He was also dissatisfied with Cui Jun's attitude toward Sun Yan. After all, Sun Yan had no right to cry. But when he remembered that there were still 3 matches left, he dismissed the thought of reprimanding his son. Letting Sun Yan calm down was a wise choice. One ginseng didn't seem important. In fact, their family didn't lack ginseng. But the one in Jing Yunzhao's hand was different. Not to mention its high medicinal value, it would fetch a high price if sold. Therefore, even though Papa Ji yelled at him, Cui Zhanxian still went his own way. It's just a child throwing a tantrum. It's not serious. Besides, Shanshan was in the wrong this time. Yen still has a match later. What if her mood is affected and she loses again? Papa Ji choked on his words. He looked at the father and son and secretly gritted his teeth. He loved his daughter. No matter what, he wouldn't let her suffer with this kind of person. Before, he thought it was fine as long as his daughter liked him. But now, it seemed that if she was already like this at such a young age, it would only get worse when she grew up. Papa Ji immediately grabbed his daughter's hand. His expression was so serious that it was a little scary. It was the first time Ji Shanshan saw her father like this. She couldn't help but feel guilty and didn't dare continue helping Cui Jun. Although she liked Cui Jun, her parents and brothers were her family. Cui Jun couldn't be compared to them. The scene became quiet again. Both sides rested for a while, preparing to enter the next round. Biaojia, you have to believe in yourself. The things we competed with before were all the basics. Jing Yunzhao was just a little lucky. Maybe she just happened to have learned those things before. Don't take it to heart, just do your best. No matter what the result is, I won't blame you, Cui Jun said considerately. Towards the white moonlight in his heart, there would always be endless gentle whispers. Sun Yan replied with a pale smile, but in his heart, he snorted disdainfully. These words sounded nice. If she really lost, even if Cui Jun didn't blame her, her uncle would definitely blame her. After all, Cui Jun was the only son in the Cui family. If he couldn't inherit the family business, then the Cui family would be in trouble. Moreover, she wanted the ginseng, but so did her uncle. If she missed such a good opportunity, she would definitely be kicked out of the Cui family. Moreover, Cui Jun was not very interested in this, and his ability was also ordinary. Putting aside the Cui family, Cui Jun naturally felt that it did not matter if he won or not, but how could she be the same? It was easy for him to say that. Chapter 359. Sun Yan complained in her heart, but she couldn't and didn't dare to say it. She drank a few mouthfuls of water to relax and began to prepare for the next competition. She couldn't lose any of the last 3 pharmaceutical competitions. Once she lost, she would be completely finished. Jing Yunzhao had a good memory and knew how to recognize herbs, but he didn't necessarily know how to make medicine. Although she wasn't as proficient as those masters, she was the best among her peers. She could definitely win. Sun Yan looked a little weak. Jing Yunzhao was calm, but the atmosphere was particularly tense. Many people hoped that he and Sun Yan could suddenly make a comeback and turn defeat into victory. In front of them were complicated tools. The two of them stood on the stage. Soon, someone brought a long covered tray. It was one of the herbs to be processed today. When the red cloth was removed, something that made people's scalps tingle was immediately revealed. Jing Yunzhao and Sun Yan were both women. Generally, women's weakness when it came to making medicine was their mentality. For example, the medicine in front of them was a cheese snake, also known as a 5-step snake or a white flower snake. It looked extremely disgusting and was even poisonous. However, the internal organs of the 5-step snake had been removed. It was a dry body. There was no need to worry that it would suddenly rush up and bite them. Even if it was a dead snake, it still made people's scalps tingle. After all, Jing Yunzhao was still young. Even in her previous life, she had only lived for more than 20 years. Although her mental strength was strong, it was impossible for her not to be afraid in the face of such a thing. However, that was before she met Su Lao. During those days when she stayed in Su Lao's courtyard, she had seen a lot of snakes. Most of them were even alive. She was responsible for slaughtering them. No matter how great her fear was, it was overcome by her. Therefore, she was only stunned for a moment. She reached out and took the dried snake in her hand. Next to her, Sun Yan's hand trembled. She had learned how to make medicine, but most of it was for plants. Of course, she had seen others process snakes, but this kind of thing was disgusting. She had never done it personally. Seeing that Jing Yunzhao had already started, how could she fall behind? She braced herself and picked up the snake. There were about 2 caddies of 5-step snakes placed here. He watched as Jing Yunzhao brushed the surface of these 5-step snakes and cleaned up the dust that was left behind from the drying. Only then did she use a knife to cut off the snake's head as well as the 2 to 3 inches of its tail. Everyone could see that her technique was a little inexperienced, but the steps were correct. He then placed the snake's body into a jar and poured in about a caddy of white wine to soak it. After a long time, he took it out and peeled off the snake's scales and backbones. After handling it, he washed it and prepared to dry it. It wasn't complicated, but the details were important. The snake's head, tail, and back are poisonous and should not be used as medicine. Rather than saying that this question was about making medicine, it was better to say that it was about courage. The person who came up with this question probably thought that both of them were girls, so he specifically chose the 5-step snake. Jing Yunzhao's movements were as smooth as flowing water. While she was waiting to be dried, Sun Yan was still shakily removing the snake's scales. His hand that was holding the knife was trembling slightly, and the people below all felt a wave of worry. It was obvious who was better and who was worse. It didn't take long for the first round to end in a draw. Even though Jing Yunzhao's medicine was good, it was a pity that Sun Yan had won the hearts of the people. Many people had to give the Cui family some face, so after Sun Yan finished, the competition ended in a draw. Jing Yunzhao didn't want to say anything more. After all, Sun Yan's work wasn't bad. Sun Yan breathed a sigh of relief. After it was over, her face was still pale. But before Sun Yan could completely relax, another round of processing began. She opened the jar and saw that the densely packed centipedes were still alive. 1. Chapter 360. In an instant, Sun Yan was so scared that she took a few steps back and fell to the ground. Her whole body trembled, and tears streamed down her face. Cui Jun rushed up immediately, but when he saw the centipedes, his legs went weak. No, how could they compete? Centipedes. Let his cousin concoct this martial art. Couldn't they just let someone else do it? The Cui family had a lot of workers. Cui Zhanxian immediately said, no. We have to compete. If they went all out now, they might be able to win 2 more rounds. Then, it would be a draw, and his son wouldn't be affected. They had already come this far, but they had to back down. What kind of logic was that? Besides, wasn't it just some centipedes? Which of the pharmacists present hadn't tried it before? If others could do it, why couldn't she? Sun Yan shook her head. She couldn't do it. Besides, she didn't know how to concoct the centipedes. She had never tried it before, so she would definitely make a mistake. If that was the case, why should she compete? Why should she come into contact with so many disgusting things? All these years, she learned how to make medicine, not because she liked it, but because it brought her enough benefits and fame. Moreover, she didn't have to work so hard at it back then. Seeing that Sun Yan refused to step forward no matter what, Cui Zhanyuan almost went crazy. Sun Yan. Our Cui family has raised you for so many years, and this is how you repay us. I can't. Uncle, I'm going to lose anyway. Sun Yan was completely flustered. She didn't know how she lost to Jing Yunzhao. Everything felt like a dream. At the same time, Jing Yunzhao acted as if she couldn't hear the commotion. She raised her hand to clean the centipedes, removing their heads and tails one by one. Her appearance was peaceful, yet it made people's hair stand on end. Most of the people present, except for some of the younger ones, had cleaned these things before. However, no one was as calm as Jing Yunzhao, who didn't even frown. Jing Yunzhao wasn't calm, but he was trained by Elder Su. During the first month of learning how to make medicine from Elder Su, she had seen these things. In Elder Su's words, if she could handle the most terrifying things, then other things were nothing. During that time, she had almost handled all the terrifying living things in Elder Su's yard. Now, what did all this count for? The better Jing Yunzhao performed, the worse Sun Yan would lose. Mr. Cui Zhan was afraid that it would affect his son's future, so he was particularly angry. Seeing Sun Yan lying on the ground and not getting up, he reached out and pulled her up. Sun Yan was also in despair. Even though she knew that she had done her best, she was even more certain that she would never be supported by the Cui family in the future. She was no longer part of the Sun family when she was sent to the Cui family by her parents. There were still sisters-in-law in the Sun family, so no one would care about her. Sun Yan's pale face slowly turned cold. She stared at Cui Zhanxian and looked at the hand that was reaching out. Don't touch me. I've already lost. It's impossible. Even if you force me, I won't win. Sun Yan said, having nothing to lose. How would you know if you don't try? Since you want to bet, then bet till the end. Otherwise, get out of the Cui family for me in the future. Cui Zhanxian said furiously. He was simply useless. So be it. What's the big deal? Do you think your Cui family is so great? I've had enough of all this nonsense. Anyway, I've already lost. Isn't it just that I can't make medicine in the future? Okay, I can't ask for more. Chapter 361. As Sun Yan spoke, she stood up from the ground and brushed her clothes. She stared at Cui Zhanxian and continued, "You were the one who agreed to let me gamble. It's too late to regret it now. I can't beat her." When Sun Yan said that, Cui Zhanxian was furious. He raised his hand and slapped her. He instantly knocked her to the ground. Nonsense. That's because you didn't put in the effort. If she put in the effort, if she worked hard enough, how could she not win? She was a few years older than Jing Yunzhao. Had she been eating for the past few years been for nothing? Sun Yan covered her face. A trace of hatred flashed in her eyes. She glared at Cui Zhanxian and glanced at Jing Yunzhao. She was still dealing with the centipedes. How could she deal with such disgusting things? It made her want to vomit. I just lost a competition. If it weren't for Cui Jun, I wouldn't have come today. Now you're blaming me. Why are you blaming me? Sun Yan clenched her fists and said angrily. Cui Zhanxian snorted coldly. His expression was ugly. She had embarrassed him. Who else could he blame but her? Could it be that he was going to blame his son? But Cui Jun didn't participate in the competition. He was just implicated. With the anger of the two and Sun Yan's admission of defeat, the competition came to an end. Jing Yunzhao dealt with some preliminary things and didn't do anything else. These centipedes wouldn't go to waste anyway. Jing Yunzhao, you're very proud, aren't you? The thing I regret the most is coming today. If I hadn't listened to Cui Jun, I would still be fine now. After everything was settled, Sun Yan said to Jing Yunzhao. Jing Yunzhao just looked at her quietly. The reason you came wasn't because you were loyal, but because you wanted to show your kindness in front of others. You don't have to blame others. She came because Cui Jun invited her. No, as long as she knew that Jing Yunzhao was here, Sun Yan would have come even if Cui Jun wasn't here. She liked to stand in the position of the Virgin Mary and look down on a pitiful person like her. Whatever you say. You won anyway. Sun Yan gritted her teeth. Her heart was in a state of panic and emptiness. That kind of disgust and hatred caused her entire body to tremble, and she was on the verge of losing her mind. Jing Yunzhao raised an eyebrow. He walked over to Tong Yan and Ji Shanshan and took the ginseng back. As for the protection fee, Jing Yunzhao was not stingy. He returned to the house and took out 2 small boxes. I made this myself. It's good for the skin. Although Jing Yunzhao had a lot of ginseng in her hands, she couldn't treat herself as a money-scattering girl. In particular, the quality of the ginseng was extremely high. If he took it out too often, it would definitely cause trouble. Therefore, after much consideration, Jing Yunzhao decided to take out the ointment that he had developed in his free time. It would definitely be slightly better than the cosmetics that were bought outside. If it was before, Ji Shanshan wouldn't have believed it. However, after witnessing Jing Yunzhao's abilities, she accepted it without hesitation. The fragrance and the exquisite box made her very fond of it. Tong Yan was much calmer. She didn't want Jing Yunzhao's protection fee at all. However, Ji Shanshan still hadn't forgotten Jing Yunzhao's promise from before. After receiving the gift, she pestered Jing Yunzhao to open the brocade box and let Jing Yunzhao take a closer look at it. She didn't know how to control her actions, causing the old people to be nervous, afraid that Jing Yunzhao would break such a good thing. Ji Shanshan, whose side are you on? Why are you still so happy that I've been removed from the list? Unfortunately, someone couldn't stand it anymore. Cui Jun didn't care whether he could inherit the family business or not. After all, he didn't feel interested in making medicine yet. However, he didn't like this kind of embarrassing feeling. Chapter 362. Hearing his words, Ji Shanshan was a little unhappy. She wasn't competing. Did she have to fight to the death like them? Her father was angry just now. Not only did Cui Jun not restrain himself, he even scolded her in front of her father. Did he not consider her family's feelings? Ji Shanshan was angry, but she wouldn't vent her anger on Cui Jun. Or rather, she had never tried to vent her anger on Cui Jun, so she pretended not to hear him. However, Cui Jun wasn't his usual self. After being hit repeatedly, he was on the verge of exploding. Ji Shanshan wasn't Sun Yan, so he didn't have to be patient. In his subconscious, Ji Shanshan was his follower. He didn't need to turn around to drag her along, but he wouldn't allow her to fall behind either. However, this follower ignored his existence. How could he tolerate that? Cui Jun said coldly, "You're ignoring me, right? Don't come looking for me in the future." The Ji family's faces turned ugly. Jing Yunzhao looked at Ji Shanshan with a mocking expression. In fact, Ji Shanshan was a person who cared a lot about her reputation. She just ignored it in front of the person she liked. Now that she saw Jing Yunzhao's expression, she felt uncomfortable. Moreover, his parents were livid. Just as she was hesitating about what to say, she saw a figure rushing toward Cui Jun. Ji Shanshan panicked. When she came to her senses, she saw her brother pouncing on Cui Jun and smashing his face. She was stunned. Suddenly, there was a commotion. The Cui family, the Ji family, and the others who came to join in the fun were in a mess. Ji Jingxing. Don't think I'm afraid of your Ji family. Now that your son is hitting my son, your daughter will never be able to be with Cui Jun. Cui Zhanxian was furious. Cui Jun covered his face. Ji Shanshan, your family is a bunch of bastards. How dare you hit my son? I dumped you. Ji Shanshan was stunned. She hadn't even started dating Cui Jun yet. How did she get dumped? Jing Yunzhao smiled at the wrong time. This must be the family of a cornered dog jumping over the wall, right? She didn't want to meddle too much with the Ji family's matters, especially with Ji Shanshan. Their relationship wasn't good enough for Jing Yunzhao to step in and help her out. Moreover, this stubborn idiot was useless even if Jing Yunzhao helped her. Thus, Jing Yunzhao took her things and returned to her room. Behind him was Sun Yan's venomous gaze. Jing Yunzhao wasn't afraid of her. If she liked to stare, then so be it. She wouldn't lose anything anyway. Besides, she couldn't possibly go up and gouge out Sun Yan's eyes just because someone looked at her too much, right? Jing Yunzhao went back to his room, entered the space to study, and then went to sleep. Outside, the events of the night were far more exciting than she had expected. When she woke up in the morning and went out to take a look, the courtyard was still in a mess. The medicinal herbs and supplementary materials on the table yesterday were all overturned on the ground, extremely wasteful. Because it was very late that night, there was no time to clean it up. The gathering had been held for many years. Although the location was different every time, there had never been such a terrible beating. Cui Jun's face was bruised and swollen. The perpetrator was Ji Shanshan's brother. This kind of situation was not allowed here, so the Ji family's brother was kicked out and left in the morning. As for Cui Jun and Sun Yan, they were also going to leave. However, the Cui family was waiting for her to personally mediate. The moment Tong Yan told her that the Cui family wanted to mediate, Jing Yunzhao's face flashed a faint sneer. Mediate only after losing. Did they take her for a fool? Chapter 363. In the front hall, the father and son of the Cui family were sitting upright. Sun Yan was beside them, clearly out of place with the father and son of the Cui family. When Jing Yunzhao arrived, Cui Zhanqian immediately greeted her. "Miss Jing." He put on a fake smile. Jing Yunzhao stopped in her tracks. "Why, Miss Sun and young Master Cui haven't left yet. This contract was signed a long time ago. As long as I win, you'll immediately get out of my sight, right?" She had heard from Tong Yen that when Ji Shanshan's brother was kicked out, Cui Jun was very arrogant. Now that it was her turn, he was scared. As soon as Jing Yunzhao finished speaking, Cui Zhanqian suppressed his anger. "Miss Jing, don't always leave a way out for others. Don't you think so? I admit that these two children made the wrong decision yesterday. They shouldn't have competed with you, but since you've already competed, isn't your reputation enough? Our Cui family only has one son, Cui Jun. If he doesn't become a pharmacist in the future, then our Cui family's legacy will be broken. What does that have to do with me?" Jing Yunzhao was firm. Not to mention the Cui family's legacy being broken, even if the family line was broken, it had nothing to do with her, right? Cui Jun was looking for trouble, but she still had to consider the Cui family. She wasn't Ji Shanshan. She wouldn't be so stupid as to be so shameless for a boy like this. "Miss Jing, do you think the benefits aren't enough? Fine, I'll give you 100,000 as long as you give up that contract and tell the public that the competition will be void in the future. I can take out a ginseng at a sky-high price. Do you think I'll be short of 100,000? Jing Yunzhao found it more and more funny. Father Cui gritted his teeth. "You want the right to use the herb field, right? As long as you agree, once I win the competition, I'll give you half of the right to use the herb field." In fact, the right to use the herb field referred to money. The winner of this competition would receive a portion of the income from the herb field. Whether it was the herbs inside or the money from selling them, it would all belong to the winner. Of course, this would have to exclude the fees of the farmer. This medicinal field was so big. Every time there was a harvest of medicinal herbs, the families of these master pharmacists would naturally come to negotiate. The money they earned was not small. "If I want the medicine field, I will win myself. Moreover, with my experience, I can see that you won't be able to win. This kind of empty promise is useless to me." Jing Yunzhao didn't give him any face. Did this Cui Zhanqian take her for a fool? With so many master pharmacists present, when would it be the Cui family's turn to win? Of course, Jing Yunzhao didn't think that she could win. After all, although she had learned a lot, her pharmaceutical techniques were relatively inexperienced. She couldn't compare to those seniors who had been in the field for decades. However, even if she couldn't win, she wouldn't fall behind others. That was enough, because the three seniors were about the same age as Elder Su. Although their status was not as high as Elder Su's, they were still very high. They were used to maintain the balance of the medicine association. If she couldn't defeat the three of them, she would only be able to obtain a quarter of the medicine field's income. The remaining 3/4 would be in the hands of the three of them. However, for each person she won, she would receive a portion of the medicine field's income. No matter what the result was, she wouldn't lose out. Cui Zhanqian didn't expect Jing Yunzhao to be so arrogant. Now that he saw that she wasn't cooperating, he became even angrier. He simply didn't hide it and said, "Jing Yunzhao, it won't do you any good to push me too far. Enough is enough. So what if it won't do me any good? A person needs to live for a breath. Your son has made things difficult for me, so he deserves to be removed from the competition." Jing Yunzhao said coldly. Her aura wasn't weak at all. Chapter 364. After Jing Yunzhao finished speaking, Cui Zhanqian glared at her for a long time. It was a pity that Jing Yunzhao didn't even look at him in the eye. She might as well just ask people to escort Sun Yan and Cui Jun away. The winner was the king, and the loser was the bandit. She had won in front of so many people, so she was qualified to fulfill the agreement. The two of them were driven to the intersection, and there were many onlookers. Wait! When Cui Jun was driven to the car, Ji Shanshan suddenly rushed out and ran to Cui Jun. Cui Jun, you have to apologize to my family. When Cui Jun saw Ji Shanshan, he thought of the wound on his face. Are you crazy? Go away. When Ji Shanshan heard that, she suddenly went crazy. She reached out and tore at Cui Jun's clothes. She even prepared a blade in her hand. The onlookers were stunned and didn't dare to help. In a short while, Cui Jun's clothes were unrecognizable. Not only that, she rushed to Sun Yan in the next second. Staring at her neck, she reached out and tore the necklace off her neck. I bought all these. Ji Shanshan said angrily. In order to please Cui Jun, she had specially bought a female necklace for him to give to Sun Yan to show that she was reconciling with her. Who knew that Sun Yan would turn hostile after taking the necklace, which made her hate her even more. Also, Cui Jun's watch, phone, and coat were all given out by her during various festivals. Now, she wanted to get them back one by one. She liked Cui Jun, and she still liked him now. Cui Jun could bully her and ignore her, but he definitely couldn't provoke her parents and brother. Yesterday, her brother fought with Cui Jun for her, and today, he was driven out directly. In the future, he wouldn't be able to raise his head in front of his peers. Today, her parents looked at her with disappointment. She had never been so afraid. When she couldn't catch up with Cui Jun, she was also sad, but it was different from the feeling in the early morning. When her brother was driven away, it was as if the sky was falling. However, Cui Jun was still shouting and scolding her. He said that she was crazy, that she was a shrew, and that she had embarrassed her parents. Since he said that she was a shrew, then she would show him what she was made of. For her parents, she would never be good to him again. After Ji Shanshan snatched her things, she didn't forget to say, when you go back, return your computer to me. I know your family doesn't lack money, so don't take my things. He would be a scoundrel to the end and help Buddha to the west. After saying all this, Ji Shanshan walked back to Papa Ji with reddened eyes and cried hard. Cui Jun had lost a lot of face. He immediately hated Ji Shanshan. Sun Yan was even more unlucky. Cui Jun had a car, but she didn't. Because Cui Zhanyuan had decided to kick her out of the Cui family, she could only walk to the platform and live in the school. So, she had to earn her tuition and living expenses by herself. It was precisely because he thought of the miserable future that he felt even more resentful. Her eyes looked as if they were about to spit fire as she engraved Jing Yunzhao's humiliating name deep into her heart. Clenching her teeth, her figure slowly left the crowd's line of sight. Step by step, she cursed Jing Yunzhao in her heart. Jing Yunzhao, my brother asked me to apologize to you before he left. Although I don't know what to apologize for, I'm sorry. Ji Shanshan said bitterly. She was heartbroken. She had to apologize to Jing Yunzhao when she was heartbroken. This was the saddest thing in the world. Chapter 365. Ji Shanshan's eyes were as swollen as walnuts. Jing Yunzhao couldn't bear to see her like this. She couldn't bring herself to do this for someone who wasn't worth it. As for Ji Shanshan's apology, Jing Yunzhao simply nodded and turned to leave. However, Ji Shanshan immediately pounced on him. Don't go. What did you mean by that attitude just now? Do you think I'm that stupid? Jing Yunzhao's gaze was clearly disdainful of her. She still remembered Jing Yunzhao's words about Cui Jun's character being problematic, but she just couldn't see it. The more she looked at Cui Jun, the better she became. She even thought that Cui Jun was perfect. Of course, there was one black mark she couldn't accept, and that was his disrespect for her parents. Jing Yunzhao's feet paused. You do. Her gaze was serious and solemn. At the side, Tong Yan's mouth twitched, but he found it funny. Jing Yunzhao actually answered such a question that made people speechless. This wasn't like her at all. After last night's comparison, Jing Yunzhao had become a goddess in Tong Yan's heart. Her calm demeanor, her ability to kill Sun Yan with a single sentence, no matter what it was about her, it was admirable. However, Jing Yunzhao gave him a repulsive feeling. She was unapproachable. Even though he could exchange a few words with her, he still felt that she was out of reach. This kind of pressure was like that of a senior. However, Jing Yunzhao looked like she was only 16 or 17. She looked much younger than him. Ji Shanshan snorted. You just can't stand me. Great, now that Cui Jun is gone, you must be laughing at me in your heart. Jing Yunzhao's eyelids twitched. She looked up at the sky, speechless. Since you know that I can't stand you, then stop hanging around in front of me, okay? Jing Yunzhao said helplessly. That won't do. The more you hate me, the more I want you to see me. You live in Huaning County, right? Why don't you take me to have some fun? I've never been there before. Ji Shanshan said. When he spoke, his voice was thick and nasal, giving off a pitiful look, as if Jing Yunzhao's refusal was a huge sin. Ji Shanshan was a troublesome and unreasonable person. Those who walk different paths cannot make plans together. Jing Yunzhao would never let herself get involved with this idiot. She immediately replied, no. After saying that, he immediately left, ignoring Ji Shanshan's yelling behind him. Ji Shanshan wailed for a long time. She was in a bad mood, and Tong Yan and Father Ji were coaxing her. Ji Shanshan knew that after embarrassing Cui Jun, she would never be able to catch up with him in the future. Between her family and Cui Jun, she would still choose the former. The final competition of the medicine fair also began on this day. Jing Yunzhao had left such an impression on them that the elders could no longer treat her as an ordinary child. Cui Jun's father, Cui Zhanxian, boasted that he would be the champion, but in reality, he was eliminated in the first round. It wasn't that he was incapable, but that he wasn't as focused as the others. His state of mind was in chaos, and he couldn't concentrate on his work. He made frequent mistakes in simple concocting tasks. The three elders could tolerate him once or twice, but when they saw that he couldn't concentrate on concocting the ingredients, they chose to eliminate him without hesitation. Cui Zhanxian was a reputable figure, so he couldn't bear to be eliminated in the first round. That night, he got into a carriage and left the farm. Jing Yunzhao, on the other hand, overcame all difficulties and jumped out of the crowd. Chapter 366. Jing Yunzhao also knew that there had to be a limit to everything. As a parachutist, she had won against so many elders who were older than her. Although she had a reputation, she would also attract hatred. She couldn't go overboard in everything. If water was full, it would overflow. Therefore, in the end, Jing Yunzhao didn't compare herself with the three elders in this medicine fair. After all, the three elders were well aware of her performance. Moreover, she had an innate advantage. These elders had accumulated years of hard work and experience. It was not worthwhile for her to go overboard and embarrass them. However, even if the competition didn't end, Jing Yunzhao was undoubtedly the biggest winner in this medicine fair. A quarter of the profit from the medicinal field was not small. In the next year, that sum of money would be sent to her. Since Jing Yunzhao had won and was related to Elder Su, her status naturally rose. Those who were originally prepared to go easy on her felt as if they had been slapped in the face. They were flustered. After Jing Yunzhao left, all of them heaved a sigh of relief. This medicine fair was simply a trial for them. However, because of this, they were a little more alert. What they had lost was not knowledge, but seriousness. Although their reputations had been rising over the years, in reality, they had less contact with medicinal herbs than before. They had sons and disciples and could hire people to do things for them. Therefore, they rarely took the initiative to intervene in matters of concocting medicinal herbs. They would only step in if they encountered something that others couldn't handle. However, this also led to more and more flaws in their methods even though they knew a lot. However, Jing Yunzhao was different. She was very serious about any medicinal herbs. Even if her methods were a little rusty at the beginning, she would rather be slow than be perfunctory. As a result, her concocting process was almost perfect. Now that they had lost to Jing Yunzhao, they couldn't help but reflect on themselves. Jing Yunzhao was also considered polite. Although she had won, she also knew that she had been very lucky. She was very polite to everyone and gave them a lot of face. This attitude also made these people feel a little better. Their impression of Jing Yunzhao was also better than before. Once the competition was over, Jing Yunzhao directly rushed back to Huaning County. She had taken a week's leave, and with the rest days in between, she still had 3 days to relax. However, when Jing Yunzhao returned home, he found that Su Chu and Gan Jinchen were not in high spirits. If it had been in the past, Su Chu would have pounced on her the moment she entered the room. But this time, she sank into the sofa and frowned as if she had something important to say. Jing Yunzhao felt a little uneasy when he saw her like this. "Cousin, you're back." Su Chu greeted him with a smile, but she couldn't hide the disappointment on her face. Jing Yunzhao put down his things and walked over. He looked at Gan Jinchen and asked, "What happened?" "Xiao Haiqing transferred schools," Gan Jinchen said. Jing Yunzhao's heart skipped a beat, and his face darkened. "When? Which school did she transfer to?" Gan Jinchen sighed and said, "It was the 3rd day after you left. You also know that their family does business, right? Uncle Zhao's business is getting better and better. Now, he is preparing to move the family to Ning City. Xiao Haiqing wanted to stay here, but his father didn't allow it. He forcefully transferred her away. As for the school, we contacted Xiao Haiqing and found out that it's not a good school. It's not even in Ning City. It's not even as good as our county's first high school." Chapter 367. After Gan Jinchen finished speaking, Jing Yunzhao's face darkened. "I really don't know what her father is thinking. No matter what, Xiao Haiqing is still his daughter. Even though it's reasonable for him to bring her to Ning City, he should have found a good school. Yet, he chose a mediocre one. I asked my father to ask around and found out that the school is private. There are many second-generation heirs who aren't considered rich, but are better than the average family." Gan Jinchen was also furious. Jing Yunzhao carefully recalled the events in her mind. She realized that there were some differences between the Xiao family's relocation and her previous life. In her previous life, Xiao Hongye had always been in school. When she returned home, she mentioned Xiao Haiqing many times. Thus, she was certain that Xiao Haiqing had always been living in Huaning County until she was admitted to a university in the capital. But since that was the case in her previous life, why would there be a change now? Jing Yunzhao was secretly shocked. Was it because of her? Why didn't you tell me earlier? Jing Yunzhao was also at a loss. Xiao Haiqing said that if you were willing to take a leave, it must be something important. Anyway, even if you knew, it wouldn't change anything. So, we should wait for you to come back first, Gon Jinshin said. Cousin, what do you think Haiqing should do? I heard that she's living with her stepmother and brother now. Won't she be bullied by them every day? Also, that lousy school is so messy. Haiqing definitely can't focus on her studies. Suchu curled her lips anxiously. In the past, when Xiao Haiqing was in Huaning County, she always lived in her deceased mother's old house. She rarely met with her stepmother and brother. Thus, even though they didn't get along well, there were few conflicts. But now, it was different. In Ning City, Xiao Haiqing had no friends and was suppressed by her stepmother. Her situation was definitely not good. Jing Yunzhao was also a little frustrated. Especially when she thought about how she might have affected Xiao Haiqing's future, she felt even more guilty. Xiao Haiqing had lived a carefree life in her previous life. She had married a few people, but all of her husbands had died. Although she did not know why she had become a black widow in the mouths of others, but when she saw her flamboyant smile on the newspaper, she felt that she had lived a carefree life. Now that things had gone off the rails, what would her life be like? Jing Yunzhao secretly shook his head, unable to understand. He turned back to the house and called Xiao Haiqing. Unfortunately, the other end of the phone was busy and no one answered. After more than half an hour, she received a reply. Darling, are you done? On the other end of the phone, Xiao Haiqing's voice was still bright and beautiful, but Jing Yunzhao could hear that it was a little stiff and hoarse. He didn't know what was wrong, but it was different from usual. What's going on? Jing Yunzhao asked. Xiao Haiqing paused. Don't worry, it's not a problem. It's just a change of environment. As for you, have you settled everything? Xiao Haiqing, didn't you say that you would take care of me in the future? Why, it's only been a year, and you're already leaving. You can leave, but you should at least give me an explanation, right? Jing Yunzhao's voice was cold, and listening to it made one's scalp tingle. Xiao Haiqing scratched her head. I did say that I would take care of you, but you don't need me to. Tell me clearly, what's going on now? Jing Yunzhao's attitude was firm. Xiao Haiqing sighed on the other end of the phone. Really, I knew I couldn't persuade you. My father received a big project. Our family is going to be a landlord from now on. My father was happy and bought a house in Ning City. He can't just leave me, his daughter, in Huaning County, can he? What about school? I heard from Gon Jinshin that you went to a low-class school. Jing Yunzhao said again. Chapter 368. Xiao Haiqing was very smart. She had been very stable this year. She was in the top 50 of the grade. Her strength was still very good. With her grades and the Xiao family's current family background, it was not impossible for her to go to a key school in Ning City. In any case, she shouldn't be reduced to going to a low-class school, right? Jing Yunzhao didn't mean to discriminate against those schools, but he had to admit that the so-called good school environment was indeed better. The school was messed up by that woman. Xiao Haiqing seemed to be a little cynical and said, the woman told my father that Mingyang High School was an aristocratic school. There were many children of wealthy families in it. I grew up in Huaning County. My temper was wild and unpresentable, so she suggested that my father send me to that school to have more contact with those children of wealthy families. I can also learn some etiquette and rules. Otherwise, when I accompany my father to attend some activities in the future, I will embarrass him. Jing Yunzhao listened and felt a burst of anger in his heart, let alone Xiao Haiqing herself. Why didn't I see you so obedient before? Jing Yunzhao murmured. I can't do anything. That was my father. He said that if I didn't listen, he would sell the house my mother left me. Yun Zhao, when my mother died, she only left a house. Although it wasn't big, the location wasn't good, and it wasn't worth much money, it was left to me by her. If it was sold by that family, then I will suffer for a lifetime. Isn't it just a school? It's not a place that will eat people. I'm not afraid, Xiao Haiqing said. She was not afraid, but she was sullen in her heart. Jing Yunzhao knew Xiao Haiqing better. She was flamboyant, arrogant, and careless. She valued friendship more than anyone else. She had always regarded her face as more important than anything else. In the past, she used to fight people in school just to vent her anger. Now, she had to suppress this anger. It would be strange if she felt good. Moreover, she lived with the woman she mentioned. I still have 3 days off. Can I go to Ning City to find you? Is it convenient? Jing Yunzhao asked. Xiao Haiqing was stunned. Of course I'd love to, but forget it. I'm living with the old witch and the little devil at home. I don't want you to suffer with me. I'll go take a look. Otherwise, I'll be worried, Jing Yunzhao said again. Although she and Xiao Haiqing had only known each other for about a year, it could be said that she regretted not having met her earlier. If there was a friend who could make her not hesitate, it would definitely be Xiao Haiqing. Xiao Haiqing pondered for a while. Then you can come and stay with me tonight. Jing Yunzhao heaved a sigh of relief. After saying this, Jing Yunzhao chatted with her for a while and roughly understood the situation of the Xiao family. Xiao Haiqing's mother passed away early, when she was about 7 or 8 years old. 2 years later, Xiao Haiqing's father married a new woman. When she married, she was already pregnant and gave birth to a big fat boy. When the stepmother first married Xiao Haiqing, she was naturally very good to Xiao Haiqing. Every day, she would ask about her well-being, which made Xiao Haiqing's father feel very relieved. But in Xiao Haiqing's words, this stepmother wanted to beat her to death. When she was 10 years old, she hated this new mother, so she ran away from home. However, she had no money, so she stole 500 yuan from her family. But at that time, she was still young and didn't know the way, so she was sent back. After returning home, her father naturally wanted to beat her severely, but her stepmother stopped him and threatened her with the baby in her belly. Only then did she manage to escape. At that time, she was naturally very grateful. She thought that this stepmother cared about her wholeheartedly and was moved for a long time. Chapter 369. Xiao Haiqing was still young at that time, so she wasn't very clear about what was right and what was wrong. After she ran away from home, her stepmother treated her even better. She gave her enough money and would even introduce her children to her as her little friends. However, those people didn't get along with her and always said that she was a burden, so they often quarreled. Every time, her stepmother would apologize. In just a year, her father became more and more disappointed in her. Her relatives and friends also felt that she was not very sensible since she was young. When she was angry, she became worse and worse. She hung out on the streets every day like a delinquent girl and didn't like to go to class. However, her stepmother still didn't scold her and still spoke for her. At that time, she had a grandfather who was not very healthy. Although she learned bad things, she was very well behaved every time she saw this grandfather. However, once, her grandfather accidentally saw her arrogantly hanging out with a group of delinquents and fainted on the spot. Her grandfather's health was not good, and he became worse after being angered by her. However, at that time, he was still afraid that she would become worse, so he scolded her fiercely. She suddenly realized the difference between her grandfather and her stepmother who doted on her. Since then, she kept a distance from her stepmother. However, in her father's eyes, she was still a frivolous person. She simply played and ate. When she entered high school, she simply moved out of the house. Not long after her grandfather reprimanded her, he passed away. She didn't even have anyone to rely on. Jing Yunzhao chatted with her for a long time. After hanging up the phone, she still felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. Xiao Haiqing's father was his biological child, but he didn't even believe in his own child. She shivered in an instant. She always felt that she didn't want to understand her biological parents more and more. Although this was unfilial, she would rather be like before or like Xiao Haiqing. She would rather be wild. Jing Yunzhao just came back from Ning City, but after hanging up the phone that day, she left again. Su Chu and Gan Jinchen still had classes in the afternoon, so naturally, they could only watch her leave. "Cousin, when you come back, you must tell me what that evil old witch looks like. I will curse her every day." Su Chu gritted her teeth. Gan Jinchen frowned. "It's a pity that outsiders like us can't help her. You should comfort her when you go over. The college entrance examination will be in a year and a half. At that time, we will all go to the same school. Oh right, I need to inform Tang Zihua later. His family is from Serene City and they are very powerful. I need him to send people to pay more attention to them." Su Chu mumbled again. They all knew that Tang Zihua's family background was very good, but they had never asked him for help. After all, they were a group of people who cared about their reputation. But at this moment, how much was face worth? Xiao Haiqing's life was more important. The two of them gave her a good explanation, as if she was a messenger of justice who was going to rid the world of violence and bring peace to the people. Jing Yunzhao smiled bitterly in response. Jing Yunzhao packed up and prepared to go out. But just as she walked to the entrance of the neighborhood, she saw a familiar figure squatting next to the security room, staring at the people coming and going. When Jing Yunzhao saw the other party, the corner of her mouth couldn't help but twitch twice. She didn't know whether to advance or retreat. Just as she was stunned on the spot, the figure turned around and caught a glimpse of her. Instantly, the eyes of the figure lit up. Without a word, the two of them rushed towards Jing Yunzhao. "Jing Yunzhao. I finally found you. I asked a lot of people on the way here. Fortunately, you are famous, or I wouldn't have a place to stay tonight." Chapter 370. Ji Shanshan's attitude was too enthusiastic, causing Jing Yunzhao to jump in fright and dodge. "What are you doing here?" Jing Yunzhao felt a headache coming on. "I'm here to look for you. I'm heartbroken. Our house is quite close to the Cui family. If I go back, I'll definitely want to bow down to Cui Jun. If that happens, I'll be letting my father and brother down. So, I thought it'd be better for me to go out and relax. I've asked for leave from school. It's not time yet, so I'm free." Ji Shanshan did as she pleased. She kept saying that she was heartbroken, but other than her eyes being a little red and swollen, there was nothing out of the ordinary about her. She was willful, mischievous, and did whatever she wanted. "But I'm going out now," Jing Yunzhao said. Ji Shanshan was stunned. She also saw the luggage in her hand. "Where are you going?" "Back to Ning City to see a friend, then let's go together." "You can't leave me alone in Huaning County, right? Then you'll be more and more annoying. Anyway, I don't care. I'm in a bad mood right now, and the wounded are the most important. If you don't let me come with you, then I'm going to quarrel with you right now." Ji Shanshan threatened. Jing Yunzhao's mouth twitched. Why was she so clingy? "You're not going to respond, are you? Then I'll shout." Ji Shanshan snorted, then said loudly, "Jing Yunzhao. Then you can come with me." Jing Yunzhao was speechless. Ji Shanshan would never say anything nice. If she really scolded her in public, although it wouldn't be a big deal to her, it would still be annoying. Moreover, her life had just been a little quieter recently. She didn't want to attract attention because of it. A victorious smile appeared on Ji Shanshan's face as she grinned. Who told you to call me a retard? If you scold me again, I'll stand at the entrance of your neighborhood every day and shout at the top of my lungs. Ji Shanshan snorted, proud of herself. She was simply shameless. Jing Yunzhao had never seen a girl with such a thick skin. She had bad taste, protective, irritable, and shameless. There was nothing good about her. Knowing her was simply torture. We've agreed that we'll go our separate ways after we arrive at Ning City. I really have something to do. Jing Yunzhao reminded her again while carrying the luggage. That won't do. You're in trouble, but I'm fine. And didn't you say you wanted to meet a friend? If you don't let me see him, is he my boyfriend? Ji Shanshan nagged and said, Do you have the heart to see my boyfriend when I'm heartbroken? Who are you to me? Why wouldn't I be able to bear it? Jing Yunzhao directly replied. He couldn't even be considered a friend. At most, he could be considered a familiar stranger. Jing Yunzhao, you're bullying me, aren't you? You're too heartless. If you didn't compete with Sun Yan, I wouldn't have provoked her, I wouldn't have quarreled with Cui Jun, and I wouldn't have fallen out of love. In the end, it's all your fault. You have to take responsibility. Ji Shanshan said. Jing Yunzhao looked at her in disbelief. There's nothing wrong with your heart, right? It's your own bad eyesight that mistook her for someone else. What does it have to do with me? Besides, he wanted her to take responsibility. She wasn't a boy. How could she take responsibility? Yes, it's your fault. If I say so, then so be it. Ji Shanshan didn't care about Jing Yunzhao's thoughts at all. She looked at her coldly and continued to follow her. You stingy person. I'll pay for myself. Just let me follow you. Ji Shanshan curled her lips. She was shameless to the extreme. Chapter 371. Jing Yunzhao was annoyed by her, so she walked to the station instead of taking a taxi. She had a foundation in martial arts, so she walked very fast and carried little luggage. Ji Shanshan, on the other hand, was dragging a large suitcase and carrying a heavy backpack. She followed behind her with her small arms and legs, and was soon left far behind. But surprisingly, Ji Shanshan didn't yell at her and tried to keep up. She looked very stubborn. When Jing Yunzhao turned her head and saw her unwillingness to admit defeat, a strange feeling flashed through her heart. She sighed and waited on the spot for a while. Go ahead. Don't look down on me. I can keep up. Ji Shanshan nagged as she kept up. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. You just want to bully me, right? Unfortunately, I'm in a bad mood now. I like to be abused. Just come at me like a storm. Jing Yunzhao sighed. Ji Shanshan was really something. Jing Yunzhao stopped a taxi and threw Ji Shanshan's luggage onto it. Get in. She was so bored that she would argue with such an idiot. Ji Shanshan grinned. You're like a domineering CEO. Unfortunately, I have a sweetheart. You don't have a chance. As he spoke, he placed his bag in the front passenger seat and sat beside Jing Yunzhao. Jing Yunzhao was too lazy to argue with her now. After all, her personality wasn't something that could be reasoned with. She remained silent throughout the journey, but Ji Shanshan was like a loudspeaker, blaring non-stop in her ears. Don't be fooled by her willfulness, her mouth was still very sweet. She chatted happily with the driver, and the driver only took half of the fare. Ji Shanshan was even more arrogant than before. She felt that she had played a role. Fortunately, she seemed to be really tired on the way to Serene City. She fell asleep as soon as she got in the car. Jing Yunzhao's ears were finally quiet. "Is this your friend's house? It's quite luxurious." At night, they arrived at their destination. Jing Yunzhao made a phone call, and Xiao Haiqing quickly opened the door. This was a villa district. Every inch of land in Serene City was worth an inch of gold. The value of this house was not low. It could be seen that the Xiao family was living a good life. Xiao Haiqing glanced at Ji Shanshan, amused. The Jing Yunzhao she knew was confident and calm. Unless it was necessary, he was a man of few words. He was an honest man who liked to read with his head down. However, on the way here today, he complained to her on the phone for a while, saying that there was a noisy follower by his side that he couldn't get rid of. She could feel his resentment even through the phone. At that moment, she felt that Jing Yunzhao was finally down to earth. Therefore, she had a good impression of Ji Shanshan. Jing Yunzhao's usual life was too depressing. Making a friend like this, although it made her irritable, obviously made her feel more relaxed. It was just that she didn't realize it herself. The three of them entered the house and went up to a room on the third floor. After putting down everything, Xiao Haiqing looked at Ji Shanshan and said, "Hello, I'm Xiao Haiqing. Welcome to our house. I'm Ji Shanshan. You can call me Shanshan." Ji Shanshan was also very straightforward. Ji Shanshan kept her eyes on Jing Yunzhao and Xiao Haiqing. She found that the two of them were really compatible. One had a cold and arrogant temperament, the other had a heroic and generous temperament. There was no need to talk about their appearances. Jing Yunzhao belonged to the type that couldn't be blasphemed, while Xiao Haiqing looked like a careless boy, but if she were to dress up, she would be the hot type. On the other hand, standing next to the two of them, she looked much more ordinary. Chapter 372. Ji Shanshan didn't know why she wanted to follow Jing Yunzhao, but she really didn't want to go home. Her house was full of Cui Jun's photos and the things he liked and used. If she went back now, she didn't know what to do with them. She was afraid that she couldn't help but apologize to Cui Jun, just like before. After thinking for a while, she finally decided to look for Jing Yunzhao. He wanted to know what her life was like, or to find something for himself to do. In the past, she had followed Jing Yunzhao on the internet, so she knew that Jing Yunzhao was studying at County First Middle School. Thus, she dragged her things and walked over. She first stayed at the school entrance for a while, then asked a few people to inquire about her. Sure enough, Jing Yunzhao's name was very famous. Many people knew that she walked out of Warm Heart Garden every day. So she waited at the gate of the neighborhood. After waiting for a long time, her legs and feet went numb. Fortunately, her efforts paid off. But the funny thing was that she was brought back to Ning City by Jing Yunzhao. Although Ji Shanshan wasn't a very familiar person, she was used to being spoiled since she was young, so she didn't resist the unfamiliar environment. In a short while, she looked around the third floor of Xiao Haiqing's house. The environment is pretty good, but are all the things you like in this house? It's so strange. Ji Shanshan said with a strange expression. The wardrobe was filled with beautiful clothes, but it was a pity that the style was too gaudy. It did not match Xiao Haiqing at all. The room was pink and there were many plush dolls. It was too cute. Other than that, there was a bookshelf. The books inside surprised her even more. How to be a socialite, the cultivation of a virtuous lady, how to cultivate your temperament. She didn't read these things, but a girl like Xiao Haiqing studied them every day. It was too shocking. Xiao Haiqing pursed her lips. My aunt bought them. Aunt? Aunt Nanny. Ji Shanshan looked ignorant. Xiao Haiqing giggled. She's the woman my father married. Oh, stepmother. Ji Shanshan became even more direct. After she finished speaking, she did not show any so-called sympathy. Instead, she asked directly, I heard that stepmothers are more vicious. This creature of yours is very strange. Since she cares so much about you and bought so many things for you, why did she buy all the wrong things? I can see that these things don't suit you. Xiao Haiqing glanced at Jing Yunzhao. I think Shanshan is quite cute. To tell the truth, he wasn't so scheming. Although his words weren't very likable, he wasn't a bad person. In fact, he was more amusing than happy. Of course. Only Jing Yunzhao thinks I'm annoying. Ji Shanshan snorted proudly. Jing Yunzhao's eyelids twitched. Don't praise her. She'll be in heaven soon. When Xiao Haiqing heard this, her eyes brightened. The more she thought about Ji Shanshan, the more she felt that Ji Shanshan was good. It wasn't that she liked Ji Shanshan, but Jing Yunzhao seemed to have a hard time controlling herself in front of Ji Shanshan. She would always say a few words that she normally wouldn't say. The three of them fooled around for a while. Not long after, it was time for dinner. The nanny at the door came to call them. Only then did the three of them tidy up and go downstairs. Downstairs, the dishes were already laid out on the dining table. Xiao Haiqing's father was sitting on the sofa, reading the financial newspaper. The beautiful stepmother was serving rice, and beside her was a little boy of about 5 or 6 years old. This family looked very harmonious. Xiao Haiqing did seem a little out of place when she appeared. Chapter 373. Jing Yunzhao and Ji Shanshan were people who knew the rules. After they went downstairs, they greeted them as uncle, auntie, as a form of respect. Xiao Haiqing's father was called Xiao Daoan. He looked quite imposing and had the air of a successful person. After the two greeted him, Xiao Daoan put down the newspaper and grunted. He didn't take it to heart and his attitude was cold. Xiao Haiqing was obviously used to it. Yunzhao, there's something you like to eat today. I specially asked the kitchen to add another dish. As she spoke, she turned around and saw that the dishes on the table were not what she had ordered. Her expression instantly turned sour. Auntie, didn't I say that I wanted to add a dish of stir-fried fish tonight? Jing Yunzhao knew how to cook all kinds of complicated dishes. She often ate with Suchu and Gan Jinchin. Even though Jing Yunzhao's dishes were complicated, she liked light dishes. If it was meat, she could accept fish slices the most. The person Xiao Haiqing called was the housekeeper. The housekeeper was stunned and looked at her. The fish market closed early today. There's no fresh fish left. Moreover, Junjun is hungry. It takes a lot of effort to make fish slices, waste time. Xiao Haiqing smiled. It was just a plate of fish slices. How much effort could it take? Haiqing, don't blame Sister Wang. The beautiful woman at the side said softly. She looked at Jing Yunzhao and said, Student, I'm sorry. It's just that the timing is a little untimely. It's not easy to prepare. Don't say it's not easy. I told her in the afternoon. Xiao Haiqing was angry. If it was any other time, it would have been fine. However, it was Yunzhao's first time here and there wasn't even a dish she liked. She clearly asked Auntie Wang to make lighter dishes, but the table was full of oily dishes. Auntie Wang was obviously not afraid of her. Miss Haiqing, don't say that. I heard that you have a classmate coming, so I've been busy since noon. These are all main dishes. In the end, there was only a plate of fish slices left. That's right, Hai Qing. With so many dishes, it's quite thoughtful, isn't it? The woman asked. As he spoke, he walked in front of Jing Yunzhao. Your two classmates are really good looking. Old Xiao, take a look, they're even prettier than our Hai Qing. Especially this little classmate, one look and you can tell she's very obedient. Of course, he was referring to Ji Shanshan. On the surface, Ji Shanshan looked like a docile little sister next door. It was a pity that one couldn't judge a book by its cover. Ji Shanshan was a straightforward person. After being scolded by Xiao Hai Qing, her stepmother, she said, "Auntie, I'm not as pretty as Xiao Hai Qing. I know that. You don't need to comfort me." Jing Yunzhao couldn't help but find it funny. The next moment, Ji Shanshan continued, "Xiao Hai Qing is so good-looking. If you ask me, I'd say that she's no different from those rich young ladies. Genes are really important." As soon as she said that, not only Jing Yunzhao, but even Xiao Hai Qing herself was amused. She had the genes of the Xiao family in her. However, these genes were partly from her father and partly from her deceased mother. She just didn't have her stepmother's genes. Xiao Haiqing's stepmother's surname was Jiang. She was quite good-looking, but she was a little stingy and narrow-minded. After Ji Shanshan said that, her face stiffened for a moment. Yes. Hai Qing's genes are good, all right, let's sit down and eat. Xiao Hai Qing pursed her lips and smiled. Xiao Daoan, the head of the family, didn't say anything from beginning to end. He was already sitting at the head of the table. "Hai Qing, your classmate is from Huaning County, right? What does her family do?" Auntie Jiang asked again at the dining table. Chapter 374. This stepmother looked really kind, smiling from the beginning to the end. She was especially polite to Xiao Hai Qing. However, if they were really a family, then she probably shouldn't treat them with such a polite attitude. When the stepmother asked, Xiao Daoan also looked over. Jing Yunzhao didn't need Xiao Hai Qing to speak for her. She said, "I'm an orphan, my parents are unknown." "Ah. Then, how are you going to support yourself?" Auntie Jiang was shocked. Then, she looked at Xiao Hai Qing and smiled. "Our Hai Qing values friendship. It's okay, I'll give you more pocket money later." It was impossible not to think too much about what she said. However, she didn't say it directly. She even looked gratified, and no one could find any fault with it. Xiao Daoan frowned. Their Xiao family wasn't considered a big family, but they were lucky to have climbed up a big tree. However, it wasn't to the point where Xiao Hai Qing could give away her wealth as she pleased. He didn't object to helping a classmate, but he understood the principle of saving the needy and not the poor. This classmate's parents were unknown, and she definitely didn't have the ability to support herself. He was afraid that he would have to give her money all the time, right? As the saying goes, if you raise the rice, you raise the rice, and if you raise the rice, you raise the hatred. It was okay to do good deeds, but don't raise trouble. Not everyone knew Jing Yunzhao. For example, the two people in front of them didn't know who Jing Yunzhao was at all. Xiao Haiqing's face turned even uglier. "What do you mean? What's wrong?" Auntie Jiang looked innocent. "What's wrong? Don't talk nonsense in front of Yunzhao. She has the ability to earn money, and it's not my turn to help her. Don't beat around the bush." Xiao Haiqing said coldly. In the past, she couldn't understand what this aunt was saying. However, as time passed and she slowly grew up, she finally understood why her father treated her worse and worse. When the same thing came out of Auntie Jiang's mouth, it was different from other people's. It would make people misunderstand. The more she explained, the worse it would be. Ji Shanshan only felt that those words were strange, but after being reminded by Xiao Haiqing, she immediately reacted and laughed. Jing Yunzhao is so amazing. He doesn't need other people's sympathy and help at all. Wasn't there a self-righteous white lotus before? Halfway through her words, everyone turned to look at her. Ji Shanshan was stunned. She looked at Jing Yunzhao. Did I say something wrong? That's right, didn't Sun Yan claim to be your benefactor a few days ago and come looking for trouble? I hate people who spout nonsense like this the most. You didn't take their money, so why do you need them to put on an act? Ji Shanshan only understood half of it. It was impossible to say that she was completely ignorant. But the most worrisome thing was that his IQ had been raised by half. These words directly determined that Auntie Jiang was self-righteous. Jing Yunzhao suddenly felt that being an idiot was quite useful sometimes, especially when it came to Ji Shanshan. Her face was full of righteousness, and whoever denied her words might get angry with her. There was nothing they could do about it. Auntie Jiang's smile froze, and she laughed dryly. You rely on yourself. When Xiao Daoan heard that, he asked curiously. He then said, that's quite rare. What do you usually rely on to earn money? Can you afford your school fees? My school fees are all waived, and I also have a scholarship, Jing Yunzhao said directly. After saying that, Xiao Daoan was stunned and astonished. It was because he had never thought that his daughter would make friends with good students. In his impression, his daughter's classmates were all bad students, and his own grades were also very bad. So that's how it is. It's quite rare that you and Haiqing can be friends. Xiao Daoan's attitude became better as he smiled. Jing Yunzhao looked at him with a strange expression. Uncle Xiao, is this very rare? Our class's grades are all in the top 50 of the school, and Haiqing is not bad.